Days of Darryl LaMonica to Ken Stabler to Jim Plunkett. The Raiders have been the team of the big play, the game breaker. But this season with Plunkett's sideline, it's been a slower process offensively with Marcus Allen used as the workhorse, and he's run for 1,063 yards. The Broncos in recent weeks have been the team of opportunistic finishes. Last week, again 3 on top of the AFC West. 1 full game in front of the 7-4 Los Angeles Raiders. Hi, everybody. Marv Albert along with Bob Greasy. And this is the first of the home-and-home series between these two clubs. They'll do it again, resuming in Denver 2 weeks from now. And as has become traditional, whenever Bob Greasy is involved in a football telecast, we like to look at what Bob calls the keys of the game. First, for the Broncos.
Well, Denver has to be able to establish some kind of a running game, Marv. Dan Reeves said coming into the game that the Raiders rushed the passers on all 3 downs. It's going to be tough for the Broncos to do that today because they're missing their star running back, Sammy Winder.
And Winder out at least 2 weeks because of arthroscopic knee surgery. Raiders have a couple of injuries. Lyle Alzado sideline, and the safeties, Van McElroy and Mike Davis, sitting it out. What about the Raiders? What are the keys?
The Raiders have to have a good game from Mark Wilson. They rely a lot on Marcus Allen and Todd Christensen, but he has to spread the load. He has to get the ball to his young wide receivers a little bit and spread the load of the offense.
So it will be the Los Angeles Raiders and the Denver Broncos. And is this Raider-type weather? It is a rainy, nasty day at the Los Angeles Coliseum. Raiders and Broncos getting set to meet for the first of 2 times this season. EFL back to 1960, and the Raiders with a commanding lead in the series, although the Broncos won both games last year, both by 3 points. This is Marv Albert with Bob Greasy. We're set for the opening kickoff. The 8-3 Broncos and the 7-4 Raiders. The Raiders won the toss, and they will receive as Rich Carlos gets set to kick it off. Last week, the Raiders getting by Cincinnati by the score of 13-6 in a very physical game. Only 1 touchdown in the game. That was Wilson to Allen with just over 2 minutes left on a 7-yard play. And Denver coming off the wild one against San Diego. Sam Seal and Fulton Walker await the kickoff, and we're underway. It is Walker. Flag thrown. Fulton Walker, the one-time Miami Dolphin, runs it out across the 31. A 26-yard return run out by Mike Harton. But here's the referee, Jerry Seaman, with the call.
Mike Harton on the tackle for the Broncos.
And as you saw, it is against the Los Angeles Raiders. So Mark Wilson getting set. And the Raiders have pushed back to the 9-yard line. Marcus Allen having another outstanding year. The lone rookie there is Jesse Hester. Todd Christensen was blanked last week by the Cincinnati Bengals, and tackle to tackle, it's Davis, Hanna, Mosbar, Marvin, and Lawrence. First down, Raiders from their 9. And it's Allen. It was all Marcus Allen last week. Reuben Carter, the nose tackle, and Rulon Jones combining. And up front, Jones, Carter, and Chavis. Rulon Jones with 9 sacks going into today, tied for second in the AFC. Carl Mecklenburg off to an outstanding start with 7 sacks. We'll also see a lot of Ken Woodard rotating with Tom Jackson. Steve Foley making his second start since coming off injured reserve, and Dennis Smith off the sensational day last week. Second down and 5. And Wilson able to loft it out. It's broken up, intended for Allen. Nice touch, though, by Wilson trying to hit Allen. Ricky Hundley, the linebacker, backing up and got a piece of it. Let's check out the Greasy scouting report.
Marv, one of the things the Raiders like to do is get the ball to Marcus Allen, either running or passing. This play that you've just seen was this Hester, the wide receiver, came to the inside, and Allen went to the outside. The other man they like to get the ball to is Christensen, number 46.
And as I mentioned, had their troubles getting the ball to Todd Christensen last week. It's It's a 3rd and 5 from the 14. And Wilson nearly picked off by Dennis Smith. Intended for Christensen.
Todd Christensen, as we mentioned, did not catch a pass last week. As we look at Dennis Smith, possibly an injury to his knee. Smith jams him at the line of scrimmage. This is a great matchup all day. Smith reads the out, should have intercepted the ball and put the Broncos ahead 7-0. But he turns his ankle, or his knee, right there, as you saw at the end of that replay. That'd be a big loss for the Broncos if he can't play.
All right, Smith was able to get up and head to the sideline, and apparently he's on. In fact, no, now he's on the field, so he is okay. As Ray Guy gets set to kick from his end zone. The speedy Vance Johnson is back and lets it fly out. So let's take a look at the Denver Bronco offense. John Elway in a homecoming in his 3rd season out of Stanford. Gerald Wilhite, one of only 3 healthy running backs with Sammy Winder out of action. You see the rookie Vance Johnson, and they go with the H-back and the tight end and Wright and Kay, and they have been looking for the tight ends the last couple of weeks. Solid offensive line. Studdard, Bishop, Bill Bryan in his 58th consecutive start, Howard and Lanier. So a first down from midfield for the Broncos. We are just underway in Los Angeles. And here's Wilhite to the 45, and a flag is down. Rod Martin on the stop of Gerald Wilhite, who last week against the Chargers suffered a pinched nerve in his neck, so he is not completely healthy. Against Denver.
Marv, you mentioned that the running backs for the Broncos are not healthy, but when you only play one, you only need 1 or 2 good ones.
Number 60, offense, still first down.
That's the right guard, Paul Howard. Called on the penalty. And defensively, as always with the Raiders, we'll see lots of shifting, but Long, Piquel, and Jones. Sean Jones, second-year man from Northeastern, replacing the injured Lyle Alzado. Reggie McKenzie, the rookie from Tennessee, has played very well. And Stacy Turan and Otis McKinney for the injured Mike Davis and Van McElroy. First down and 20 from the 41. Piquel with the sack.
Marv, both quarterbacks have been confused in their first series of plays. The Raiders doing something a little differently. Man-to-man coverage. It was a screen to Elway's right side, and with man coverage, there's a defensive back right in the receiver's face. He couldn't throw the screen, and as soon as Elway saw that it was man coverage, he should have looked somewhere else. Poor read on Elway's part, but Wilson earlier was also confused.
7.5 sacks on the season for Piquel. Second and very long from the 27. It's Wilhite out to the 35, and this crowd is with it this week as opposed to the uninspired crowd that we heard here last week when the Raiders took on the Cincinnati Bengals.
One of the men in the defensive line the Bengals will be concerned about is 75 Howie Long. He moves wherever the defensive coaches want him, usually over who they think he can rush the best. But there you see number 70, Studdard, getting a great block, helping Bishop, and he was not a factor.
Third down at about 25. That's Watson in motion. And this is Sewell. The rookie from Oklahoma. Stopped by Jeff Barnes, who followed him across.
Sewell running a little tentatively. When you have a Sammy Winder injured and a Gene Lang, who would normally be the next man in there, when you drop off to Wilhite and Sewell, you really lose something. The point I was making a little bit earlier, when you only play one back, you only need one healthy one. Maybe they can get a full game out of the 2 healthy ones that they have today.
Well, Lang also bothered by an ankle sprain. You see Fulton Walker awaiting this punt. Chris Norman in his second year out of South Carolina from his 25. And Walker moves up. He's to the 35. Walker with the return and a timeout.
To have bigger hands, and every time you have bigger hands, I think you can grip the ball and throw it better. Elway likes to throw the ball much harder, has smaller hands, and I would anticipate if there's an advantage, it would have to go to the Raiders and Wilson.
What kind of condition is the field in?
Field is good. There was a ball game here yesterday, USC and UCLA. It did not rain during that game. The field is firm. It started raining about 10 to 12 minutes before game time, so it's good field. It's a little slippery right now.
32-yard punt by Norman, a 16-yard return, so the first down from the 43. Wilson with the time. Jesse Hester on the deflection could not hang on. He had a second shot at it as Dennis Smith got a piece of it.
First down pass. The Raiders want to loosen everybody up, fake the draw to Marcus Allen, and then a square in. Not a very well thrown ball. As we said, the ball's probably wet. The grass is wet. And even if the officials dry the football off, as soon as they put it down, the bottom of it is going to be wet.
Second down play. Mark Wilson 0 for 3. He's been intercepted 9 times his last 4 games. Marcus Allen on a delay to the 49, stopped by the inside linebacker Steve Busick. We're early first quarter with no score at the Coliseum. The Patriots have come from behind. They've tied the Jets at 13, and Tony Eason has relieved the injured Steve Grogan. That's the final score. Miami knocking off Buffalo 23-14. Chicago winning big over Atlanta, and the Refrigerator did score from a yard out. Washington leading Pittsburgh 30-23. It's a third down and 5. And Wilson throwing. Let's see, Marcus Allen incomplete. Randy Robbins on the coverage.
That tells you a little bit of how Joe Collier thinks of Robbins, to put Robbins on Marcus Allen, one of their top receivers coming out of the backfield. The Broncos going with 6 defensive backs, 4 linemen, and Mecklenburg in their normal defense. Marv is playing a defensive end. A little bit different look for the Raiders than they expected.
And the Broncos now have depth in the secondary because of the playing time that Lilly and Robbins have gotten due to injuries earlier this season. So they're in good shape.
They're back and healthy.
All right, Ray Guy punting from his 34. And Wilhite lets it carry out a short punt but no return. And a time Thursday here on NBC Sports, a Thanksgiving special. The New York Jets and the Detroit Lions from the Silverdome in Pontiac. 12 o'clock Eastern time. It'll get underway with NFL 85 and host Bob Costas and Dick Enberg, and Merlin Olsen will be joined by Bob Greasy and the Telestrator. Or is it the Telestrator and Bob Greasy?
Instead of a turkey under my arm, I'm going to throw this Telestrator and head on up to Detroit.
Getting violent. And the Jets and the Patriots now in overtime as the Jets look to the short work week. The Broncos from their 26. No score, 5 minutes gone by in this first quarter. And Elway hands it off to Wilhite. Sean Jones, number 99, in his second season out of Northeastern, the man replacing the injured Lyle Alzado in on the stop. Well, Jay Schrader replacing the injured Joe Theismann, leading the Redskins to the victory, and we'll hear more from Joe Theismann at halftime in a chat with Bill McAtee. Cleveland now tied with Pittsburgh off the victory over Cincinnati. What has happened to that Bengal offense? Second down and 9. Flag has been thrown. Incomplete. Lester Hayes with the cover and a nice leap. Steve Watson, the intended receiver. Lester showing his dexterity. Let's see, last year Hayes was referring to Elway because he throws so hard and so effectively as Goose Gossage Elway. Now this season, Lester, a man who always, a man of his times, calls him Goose Gooden Elway.
Well, Lester always has the right word for the right moment as we take a look at Jerry Seaman trying to figure out exactly what the infraction was. But you know, Marv, both of the safeties for the Raiders are out of this game as we get the call. Offsides and illegal use of hands, both against the Raiders.
Against the Raiders.
Here's Lester Hayes with a Ronaldo Nehemiah type leap. Very nice.
I think he got a little bit of a pull from Watson over there.
Number 37, defense, penalty decline.
And it's called on Hayes.
Number 37, defense, penalty accepted.
Well, we had two flags on Lester. One he lined up offsides, and the other one he had his hands in Watson's face. Probably why Watson, at the end of that play, grabbed a hold of Lester and threw him over the bench. But the point I was going to make, Marv, was the defensive secondary for the Raiders is hurting. Mike Davis, their strong safety, and McElroy, their free safety, both out. But the two men that they really need are the corners, and they're healthy, and they can cover those wide receivers.
Denver first down from their 32. Watson in motion. And it's to the tight end, James Wright, at the 38. Hayes on the coverage. San Diego in another wild ball game. Leading Houston, they've come from behind. They lead by 35-34. Detroit and Tampa Bay go to overtime, so we have two overtime games going. And that's a final. New Orleans over Minnesota, 30-23. Cardinals over the Giants in the first quarter. 2nd and 5. Ball spotted at the 37. And again, Elway to his right. Off the screen, he has Clarence Kay. And has a first down. Hayes on the tackle of Kay.
It's a well-designed play, Marv. Elway fakes a pitch to his left side and gets the linebacker coming across, and Kay, initially blocking the linebacker, slips out. You take a look at it, fakes the pitch. That holds the linebackers and also McKinney, and now Kay slips out in the to the sideline. You see a trend here. Kay and also Wright catching passes early in the game. John Reeves wanting to throw to people that they don't normally throw a lot of passes to.
You mean Dan Reeves?
Dan Reeves.
Switchboard lighting up immediately. Wilhite and some extracurricular activity. Harold Wilhite out near midfield. Just under 8 minutes left in this first quarter. And we have no score. Raiders and Broncos, first of two meetings this year. They'll do it again at Mile High in Denver in 2 weeks.
There's Turan, Stacy Turan. Now, they don't use him to cover as much as they do to force the run. Davis, who he's playing for, was a very good hitter and a very tough force man.
2nd down and 10. Wilhite. As you see, the Broncos attempting to establish the running game.
We said going into the game, Marv, they wanted to establish the run.
And again, a flag thrown. And again against the Raiders. And looks to be Lester Hayes once again. Hayes and Watson were going at each other. Lester very active here in this first quarter.
Unnecessary roughness, number 37, defense, first down.
That's Willie Brown right there with the cap on, the coach, the defensive backfield coach, talking to Lester, saying, just settle down. Willie, with 39 career interceptions, leads the Raiders, but he didn't do it that way. He was always tough and aggressive, just pulling Lester out to cool him down a little bit, but that's the intimidation. That's the way the Raiders like to play.
And the Raiders lead the AFC in yards penalized. Hayes called for the personal foul. First down at the 32. And Elway firing for Watson. Sam Seal on the coverage of Steve Watson, the man they call the Blade, in his 7th season out of Temple University.
Well, it didn't take the Broncos long. As soon as Hayes went out, here's Seal. Watson's going to run straight up the sideline, and immediately they go to the man that came in fresh off the sideline. Man-to-man coverage. Watson gives him a little move to the inside, and then straight down. The ball is just overthrown.
The Raider defense did not allow a pass completion for more than 20 yards last week against Cincinnati in what was a tough defensive battle. Very physical ball game. Deep drop by Elway. And that time confusion as Clarence Kay pulled up inside the 20.
Elway thinking that Kay was going to run a deeper route to the flag, but with the coverage, he adjusted his route. One of the difficult things about this offense is it has a lot of different reads. You see a coverage, you run a different route. That time Elway read one thing and Kay read another.
Dallas in front of Philadelphia in the first quarter, 7-3. And the Los Angeles Rams playing in Anaheim this afternoon, leading Green Bay 7-zip. 3rd down and 10. Elway with time, going the shorter route. Vance Johnson, the rookie from Arizona, with the first down on a 15-yard pass play. Stopped by Sam Seal. What a year he is having.
Vance Johnson could possibly be the offensive rookie of the year. This time just tight man-to-man coverage in the secondary. Johnson comes down, breaks to the inside, and then back to the outside. That's why you see the separation between he and Sam Seal, because he started in. Seal thought he was going across field, and then he broke back to the outside.
Vance Johnson considered to be the fastest man to come out of the 1985 NFL Draft. First down off that reception at the 18. Here's Wilhite. Reggie McKenzie, number 54, the inside linebacker, on the stop of Gerald Wilhite. And the Chicago Bears make it a record of 12-0 as they wallop Atlanta. Atlanta coming off the upset of the Rams last week, and the Refrigerator scored a touchdown. Incidentally, the president of the William the Refrigerator Perry fan club is planning a postseason banquet, Bob, and he said we'll make a real effort to serve only fattening foods.
Yeah, fast food, right?
2nd and 8. Elway tried to drill it through and sent it for Watson. Haynes on the coverage.
John Elway has sung the praises of Vance Johnson for one reason, and that is speed. That allows him to get through. One of the things they like to do is get him through the secondary and take the free safety with him. That opens it up for the other side, the possession receiver, who is Steve Watson. They like to get him the ball right here in the middle of the field.
Elway now has a 3rd down and 8 from the 16. That is Watson, 81, coming across. Elway looking that way, then goes the middle, and has it. Let's see where they spot it. It is a touchdown. A 16-yard touchdown pass play. And the Broncos take a 6-0 lead as he split through Turan and McKinney.
Watch the two safeties now back here. The two safeties are just playing deep. Now you'll see the receivers come down. Their man-to-man coverage down here shallow, but the safeties are supposed to help out. Watson will break to the outside and then come back in. There you go, right in front of the safeties. One of the things they missed by having those two safeties out of the ball game.
And Rich Carlos connects on the extra point. 11 plays, 74 yards, 5 minutes and 11 seconds, capped off by the touchdown. Who moments ago caught his 4th touchdown pass of the season. Elway throwing number 16. And a drive that took some time, 5 minutes, 11 seconds.
Steve Watson has said that with that more speed in the lineup with Vance Johnson, he's getting a lot of attention, and Watson has caught more passes in the last 2 weeks than he has in a long time, and he attributes that to Johnson.
High short kickoff by Carlos, and here's Fulton Walker on the return. And a good one. Fulton Walker running it out for 27 yards on the return. Ricky Hundley tripped him up. Here's another look at that Elway touchdown pass.
Watson in motion. Hayes coming across is going to get lost to the outside, and then Watson is going to go back into the middle. Motion tries to disrupt the bump and run tactics. Now watch Lester Hayes as he comes across. Watson goes back to the inside, and Hayes is to the outside. He's wide open in the middle of the field, and the safeties cannot get there in time.
5 minutes left, first quarter, and the Raiders first down from their 39-yard line. Hester in motion, and it's Marcus Allen. Change of direction. What a move! Marcus Allen goes the distance. Allen goes 61 yards off a spectacular change of direction.
Dan Reeves shakes his head, kind of smiles, and says, coming in, we knew we had to stop Marcus Allen. Take him out of the game. Kind of shook his head as if to say, well, that's a great back. You can't stop him all the time.
Marcus Allen with 11 touchdowns in all this season. And that is his longest run in regular season NFL play. We're tied at 7 as Chris Barr puts it right through. Crowd here at the Coliseum still buzzing off the 61-yard touchdown run by Marcus Allen. We're tied at 7. Just under 5 minutes left. This first quarter, Marv Albert with Bob Greasy and Chris Barr with the kickoff. And Vance Johnson takes to the 20, 25. Fumble, solid blocks, a fumble, and the Raiders think they have it. They do.
You know, normally, Marv, when you're playing at home, the crowd is your 12th man. But take a look at the umpire, Rick Stewart, right here. As Allen runs and cuts back, Rick Stewart, the umpire, is going to get a big block on 77 Mecklenburg. As he cuts back this time, here comes Mecklenburg right there. You're going to see a great block by the umpire as Mecklenburg runs him over. I think that Mecklenburg would have made that play had the umpire not been there.
That was not on the Raider playbook.
Nor in the defense of the Broncos.
All right, Jeff Barnes on that recovery, and here are the Raiders taking over. Frank Hawkins to the 25. Jim Ryan, the outside linebacker, on the stop. The Broncos came into today's game tied with Pittsburgh, having lost the fewest fumbles in the NFL, but they just lost one of theirs. Barnes, in his 9th season out of California, he came up with the ball off the fumble on the return by Vance Johnson. 2nd and 7. Hawkins picking up 3. Hester goes to the left. Williams to the right. Allen and Hawkins, the running backs. Wilson with time. And it's intercepted. Steve Foley, the free safety, on the intercept. And it's change of turnovers. And Mark Wilson hearing it from the crowd. Todd Christensen on the tackle of Foley. For Foley, his 3rd interception of the season.
Steve Foley has always been a big play. As you see him at the top of your screen, just looking all the way. Eyes, vision all the way on Marcus Allen. A poor throw. Foley sees it all the way and comes back, and it's interception and fumble return, fumble recovery, evens out the turnovers. Ball was way overthrown. Crossing patterns going over the middle of the field. Foley didn't know who to go with, stayed at home and made the interception.
Wilson has now been intercepted 10 times his last 5 games, and he is 0 for his first 5, so off to a bad start. First down for Elway from the 22. Wilhite up the middle. Out to the 30. Gerald Wilhite, who earlier this year was bothered by a knee problem. Last week suffered that pinched nerve in his neck. in his 4th season out of San Jose State. And a Bronco, as you can see, is down. McKenzie and Turan on the stop of Wilhite. And it looks like the tight end Clarence Kay. 3:40 remaining in this first quarter. It has been action-packed. Marcus Allen, 61-yard run. Elway capping off a good Denver drive by connecting with Watson.
You know, Marv, we did the game here last week, Cincinnati at the Raiders, and I kind of got the feeling that Cincinnati was a little bit intimidated. You don't get that feeling with the Broncos. The Broncos in the same division, the Western Division, playing the Raiders twice a year for the last how many ever years. You don't have that same intimidation of the teams when you play them twice a year. You get to know each other. It's like playing your back next door neighbor.
Check of the scoreboard. Philadelphia leading Dallas. Rams over Green Bay in the second. And Kansas City leading Indianapolis. Kansas City trying to stop that 7-game losing streak. Talk about the intimidation Dan Reeves suggested to his Bronco players during the week. Well, slap some people around. Get involved when you're still in Denver. Get ready for the Raiders. 2nd and 2. And the screen for Wilhite. And a Denver first down. Stacy Turan running Wilhite out.
Dan Reeves says it's all right to be in a bad mood this week. You know, go home and kick your dog around a little bit. We're playing the Raiders. Dennis Smith says, I can't wait to play this game. It's like a home game for me. Obviously, he went to USC, so he feels like coming home. But he and also Tom Jackson, the motivational, inspirational leader, loves to play the Raiders. And like I said, I don't think the Broncos are really that intimidated like a lot of teams are.
This is a game made to order for Smith, who is a very tough physical player. First down from the 36. Elway wants to talk it over. Timeout is called.
When you see a quarterback do that, Marv, usually he's got the wrong play called, and it's too late to check it off. Very rarely is it the defense that makes him call that timeout.
Elway 5 for 8 to this point, 56 yards, and 1 touchdown. So he calls the timeout with 3:14 remaining in this first quarter. In 77, remember this, in a surprise, kicker Jim Turner catching the touchdown pass as the Broncos went on to beat the Raiders to make it at that time a record of 5-0. Denver doing it convincingly. October the 16th, 1977.
This has been a great series as we take a look at Lyle Alzado, who had surgery on a torn Achilles tendon earlier in the week and says, I'll be out there rooting my comrades on. He is probably the most intimidating player on the team. I mean, you talk about rough and tough guys. Lyle really isn't that way, but he comes across that way. A cast with some wrapping on it to keep it from coming off. I'm sure Alzado, if he gets in there a few weeks from now and he doesn't like that cast, he'll dunk it in a swimming pool or a tub of water and get the thing off anyway. But for now, it's protected.
Report on tight end Clarence Kay, who was knocked down just a moment ago. The wind was knocked out of him, but he's okay. And will return. And set to resume. First down from the 36. And it's Steve Sewell on the draw. And you see the Raiders with the gang tackle led by inside linebacker Matt Millen. And the outside man, number 91, Brad Van Pelt. Steve Sewell, a rookie from Oklahoma, had a strong game some 5 weeks back against the Kansas City Chiefs when Sammy Winder had the flu and was a last-minute scratch. He's averaging about 3 yards per carry. 2nd and 7. That's Sampson, 84. Elway looking for Sampson. Underthrew. Mike Haynes on the coverage, and the Jets defeat the Patriots in overtime, 16-13. So the Jets now with a record of 9-3, and they are by themselves on top in the AFC East. New England at 8-4. Miami with the victory. They too are 8 up, 4 down. And the Jets will take on the Detroit Lions Thanksgiving Day here on NBC this coming Thursday. 3rd down and 7. Again, Sampson in motion. Elway running out of trouble. And has the first down and additional yardage. John Elway, who averages 5.5 yards per carry, leading all NFL quarterbacks in that department, runs 15 yards for the first down.
This is the one thing John Elway has above all the other quarterbacks in the league. Obviously, he's a good thrower, and he's got a strong arm, but his ability to avoid the rush and take off downfield and get the first down, smart move to get out of bounds, that is what gives the defensive coordinators around the league all the nightmares when they play the Broncos. The ability for Elway to run.
First down at the Raider 46, tied at 7, 2:20 remaining. First quarter. The tight end right, 87 in motion. Wilhite inside the 40. Good pickup by Gerald Wilhite. McKenzie and Turan on the stop down the freeway. The Rams leading the Packers 14-7. A 98-yard kickoff return by Ron Brown, an 86-yard kickoff return by Ron Brown. Ron Brown going wild for the Rams.
Could be the day of the big plays.
We had one with Marcus Allen going for 61. 2nd and 2 at the 38. Nice play, Wilhite has the first down. Mike Haynes on the stop, a shot put type release that time by Elway.
Well, it's a misdirection play. Watch on your left side, the 2 tackles, the guard and the tackle pull, and Elway has to fend for himself out there with the defensive end and linebacker. Just gets the ball off. It's plain to see that the Raiders have seen that play before, having played the Broncos for so many times, so many years. They see that play, and Elway executes it very well, but his athletic ability is what made that play complete.
As you see, the Broncos dominating here in this first quarter with just under a minute remaining. However, on the scoreboard, tied at 7. First down from the Raider 36. A bullet now thrown for a pickup of maybe a yard. Steve Sewell on the reception. Rod Martin making the tackle. Picked up a yard on the play. It'll be a 2nd and 9. You mentioned earlier on our traditional part of the telecast, the Bob Greasy Keys. And you said that the Broncos must establish the run. What are you feeling?
Well, I think they're doing a good job of it. They're throwing some on first down, but they're also establishing the run, and they've got a good drive going here.
And this the 9th play of this drive. Sampson, 84, peeling off. And Elway to throw. And Steve Watson upset because he felt he should have made the catch. A penalty flag has been thrown. Lester Hayes covering Watson. Only 2 seconds left in the first quarter. Why does Jerry Seaman look so happy when he calls the penalties?
Well, he's smiling for his mommy, I guess. But again, Lester Hayes on the hold. When you play the bump and run defense and very aggressive, you're going to get it.
Watch the grin. Watch this.
Holding, number 56, defense, first down.
It's Barnes, Jeff Barnes, who is on the call. But here you see Watson inside release. Now he's going to stop and go back to the outside. This ball is thrown over 55 Millen right in his hands and just drops it. That's what tight coverage will do to you sometimes. You knew he was going to get hit, and he tried to catch it and bring it down, but they got the penalty instead.
And a first down at the 30. 4th penalty called on the Raiders. 2 seconds left in this first quarter. Sewell going to the outside, and the Broncos are running well here in the first quarter.
Good blocking inside.
McKenzie on the stop. That's the end of the first.
Though Elway adjusting to the conditions much better than Wilson at this point.
And we're underway. Second quarter. The Broncos dominating in the first quarter. They now have a 2nd and 1 at the 20. And again to the ground. Sewell fell down, but picked it up. Steve Sewell actually stumbled. And Sewell now headed to the sideline. Wilhite returns. Denver with their 10th first down of the ball game. The Raiders with only one, and the Raiders able to score with the big play today, which has not been their formula thus far this season. But Marcus Allen able to tear away on a 61-yard run.
There's a shot of the ball, the rain coming down. Whenever that center spins it, it gets it even wetter. I always like my centers not to touch that ball any more than they had to.
Here's play action by Elway going for the end zone for Watson. Covered by Mike Haynes.
Good coverage by Haynes. Let's go back and take a look at the battle in the pits. 75 is Howie Long. You'll see the hold right there, the right hand of Lanier, 76, and 47 is Wilhite trying to help out, but the initial thrust of Long showed that Lanier had a hold of his jersey just long enough to control him and then let him go.
Studdard and Lanier at the tackles, Bishop and Howard at the guards, Bryan at center in his 9th year out of Duke.
That was a good hold, though. He had his hands inside the framework, but he had a handful of jerseys. 2nd down, 10 play. Wilhite,
as Reeves continues to concentrate with the running game.
I say a good hold, Marv. A lot of times the officials will look for the arm outside the body to try and control you. But if you have your hands inside the framework or inside the shoulders of the defensive man, they don't see it. But if you have your hands out and you grab the jersey, you're controlling him just as well.
Of course, it is all point of view. Opponents of the Raiders and Howie Long claim that Long is the best at making it seem as if he is being held by the way that he's able to have opponents hook him. It is a 3rd down and 7 from the 16. Elway on the roll and fires for Sampson and has another first down. Nice catch by Clint Sampson in his 3rd year out of San Diego State. Picked up 9, and it will be a 1st and goal for Denver.
You're seeing the whole package of John Elway here in the first quarter and a half. Outside the pocket gives him more time to throw, and also the defensive backs, as you see right there, they're expecting the ball to come from the inside part of the field. Thought they had good coverage. He's outside in a direct line with Sampson, and the ball was complete. Good play by Elway.
Watson to the left, 1st and goal from the 7. That is right in motion. And Wilhite hit by Long. Howie Long saw it all the way.
You just can't stop Howie Long. They're going to move him around. Here he's getting inside the block of Lanier and makes the big play. This is what the Raiders need at this point down there. Somebody to come in and stop that running and make some big plays and put pressure on Elway. The first thing you have to do to Elway is contain him, not let him get outside the pocket. Of course, the Broncos have designed rollouts to get him out there, but the thing that the Raiders want to do is contain him because he's much more dangerous outside the pocket than he is inside.
Denver lost 2 on the play, and Elway may have called a time. Let's see. Yes, he did. And again, looking to talk it over. So Denver with the timeout. We'll be right back. 15th play of the drive for Denver. 2nd and goal from the 9. Elway flipping it in desperation, intended for Wilhite, who claims he was being held back.
Take a look at here what the Broncos were trying to do in sending their flanker across field and the tight end across field and trying to sneak Wilhite out here. This man right here is going to get in the way. The play action, Turan jams him and then holds on to him a little bit. The jam was legal, the hold was not.
3rd and goal from the 9. We're early 2nd quarter, tied at 7. And a shovel pass, and it works for the touchdown. What a play. Wilhite goes 9 yards for the score. Wow, that was not Dwight Gooden, Elway.
No, it wasn't. It was the old shovel pass. And watch Elway pull the defensive man to him and then shovel the pass forward. That's where you give your quarterback up to the defensive end so you can get a touchdown.
Good effort by Wilhite in forcing his way in. And here is Rich Collis. Penalty flag thrown. And here is Carlos again. And the Denver Broncos, and they now lead the Los Angeles Raiders by the score of 14-7. 2.5 minutes gone by in the second quarter. Marv Albert with Bob Greasy, and the kickoff by Rich Carlos. Taken by Fulton Walker across the 30-yard line. Jim Ryan on the stop of Walker, who ran it out 21 yards.
Let's go back and take a look. A well-designed play. The three receivers on this side are going to go to the outside. The defensive end is the man they're going to sucker. As he comes upfield, Elway is going to pull him, and then he's going to pop the ball right back inside to Wilhite as he goes in for the score. The three receivers open it up to the outside. Elway draws the defensive end. He has an extra blocker. He sees the goal line and goes for it. I'm very impressed with the offensive game plan so far of the Broncos.
But the Raiders struggling to this point. Mark Wilson is 0 for 5. And Wilson a throw, and there's his first completion. Todd Christensen, who did not catch a pass last week against Cincinnati, stopped by a very physical Carl Mecklenburg.
This is exactly what Wilson and the Raiders need, especially Wilson. As you see Mecklenburg trying to cover the tight end, just throw something short to get the drive started and to get Wilson's momentum going.
4-yard gain.
Picked up 4, second out and 6. Todd Christensen in his 7th year out of Brigham Young. Marcus Allen, short pickup. Free safety Steve Foley on the stop. Mark Wilson replacing the injured Jim Plunkett, who is still sidelined with a dislocated shoulder.
Plunkett has been back throwing this week, Marv, not with the offensive unit, but against the Raiders defense as they prepare. Actually, he was throwing the offensive plays that the Broncos are going to use coming into the ball game, but he's a man that they hope to have back later on in the season, but Mark Wilson is the one that's going to get them into the playoffs.
3rd down and 3. And Wilson goes to middle. Dokie Williams on a long gator inside the 35. Brought down by Steve Wilson, a 28-yard play.
Good play calling. Tom Flores not throwing the ball deep and not holding the ball real long, as the Raiders have a tendency to do, but a crossing pattern by a wide receiver, Dokie Williams, with a lot of speed. Get him the ball, get something going, and now they've got the ball in good field position.
Dokie Williams has, as you say, the good speed, also has the jumping ability, but he has been inconsistent. Last week against the Bengals, he caught 4 but dropped several. First down for the 33. Marcus Allen picked up a couple. Rulon Jones on the stop. 5 carries, 77 yards for Allen, 61 on that touchdown run.
75. Rulon Jones throws the tackle. Davis out of the way, gets across and gets a piece of it. Jones probably having his best year of his career. Dan Reeves says he's been steady all year and just having an outstanding year.
9 sacks for Rulon to lead the Broncos. Last year led with 11. 2nd down and 8. Deep drop by Wilson. And again the completion for a first down to Dokie Williams. So Mark Wilson, after going 0 for 5, has caught fire.
I think what has happened, Marv, is that the offense has kind of said, hey, we've had a long rest on the bench. Let's go out there and execute some plays. You don't need a lot of skill to do this. Good protection. Dokie goes down and gets position on the defensive back and comes back to the ball. The only way Wright was going to get there was to interfere. Good play by the Raiders.
14-yard advance and a first down at the Denver 17. And Wilson has Hutchinson. Touchdown. 15-yard pass play, and what a series from Mark Wilson and the Raiders.
Watch this move, and out and up. You saw him look back, and that was the key. When he looked back for the ball, Wilson thought the ball was coming. Now that had to come from some film study during the week for them to know that that would work down in that area of the field. I'll tell you a little bit about the character of the Raiders, having the ball stuffed down their throat the entire way. The offense comes back and not doing much and puts the score on the board.
And Chris Barr trying to even it. And does. 6 plays, 68 yards, a quickie drive, and we're Tostenson combining with Mark Wilson to tie the game up at 14, 8:45 remaining in this first half, and Chris Barr getting set to kick it off.
Christensen not very happy last week when he didn't catch a pass. Thought he was open a few times, has already caught 2, and really 2 big plays to get that offense back in gear.
Vance Johnson, Daniel Hunter, back deep. And this is Johnson from his goal. Oh, he stumbled out to the 10 and continues to stumble, but makes it into a nice return out across the 25. 26-yard return for Vance Johnson.
Let's go back and take a look at Christensen coming off the line of scrimmage. Now watch when he looks back right here. If you can stop it right there, see his head looking back. Now that sells it, because right here when he sees that, Wilson looks back too. Now watch as he looks back, and now he knows the ball's not going to be thrown short and turns it upfield, but he sold the short out and then he beat him on the up.
The telestrator showing us with arrows. Very nice, Bob.
We got everything over here.
How impressive. Will the arrows show up on Thanksgiving Day for Dick and Merlin? James Wright. But a penalty flag is thrown right on the reception run out by Reggie McKenzie. And it's against the Raiders. So once again, the Raiders are hit with the call.
Illegal use of hand to the face, number 22, defense, penalty decline, first down.
That's Mike Haynes, the right cornerback.
He said, me? Was it on me? But I tell you, Marv, it's the style of the defense. It's aggressive. The bump and run, the wide receivers. Denver's defense is not that way. It's more of a bend but don't break. And I think the Raiders, having had 5 Pro Bowlers on the defensive team, is more of an individual type of defense. The Broncos have excellent players, but they don't play the same style, so they really don't get the recognition that some of the Raiders do.
Will Height, the lone deep back. Johnson in motion. And here's Will Height. Across the 40-yard line, Matt Millen making the tackle. There's Matt, number 55. Fiery player, hasn't missed a game in 5 years in his 6th season out of Penn State.
He loves to play. He says after a ball game, sometimes he says, I can't sleep. He's actually, you know, after they shoot the films of this game, they'll go back and develop, and he'll go back to the training facility and wait for the films to come in, because he can't wait to see them. Loves to play the game.
2nd down and 5. And Will Height trying to make the turn, but hit for the loss. Rod Martin, the outside linebacker, and the strong safety, number 30, Stacy Turan, getting to Will Height.
Paul Howard, number 60, will pull to the left side. Now Jones, 99, makes the play. Long tried to get in there, but everybody pushing it back into the defensive secondary, and Turan gets to come up and finish it off and get credit for the tackle. But Jones and Long were both in there to help stall the play.
3rd down and 9. Will Height now 11 carries, 35 yards. Elway trying to get out of the pocket, but brought down across the 35 by Jeff Barnes. So Jeff Barnes, who had that fumble recovery earlier, now able to get to the quarterback.
Jeff Barnes in there because of his ability to cover on passing situations. Made a big play because if Elway breaks that tackle, everybody else in the secondary was turning and running deep, and Elway would have run for 15 or 20 yards and would have picked up a first down.
Chris Norman, who has come on in recent weeks after hearing the criticism earlier in the season, had a turning point game, an outstanding game against Seattle 5 weeks ago. A line drive, Fulton Walker on the return. Breaks tackles and then smothered at the play drive leading to the touchdown, led by a hot Mark Wilson after he went 0 for 5. Start up from their 37. And it's Allen stopped for a loss by Carl Mecklenburg.
The Broncos defensive coordinator Joel Collier mixing up his defenses. Mecklenburg is the key. Sometimes he'll be in the line. Sometimes he'll be at a linebacker. He'll be anywhere in that defensive line, and they're doing a good job mixing it up. Jim Plunkett on the sideline, smiling. Hopes to get back in a couple of weeks and possibly help this team later on in the season.
Plunkett out with a separated shoulder. And his replacement, Mark Wilson, has a 2nd and 11. And has time. A bullet. And Allen to midfield for the first down. Well, Wilson gambling as he drove that one through a couple of defenders and hit Allen.
Exactly, Marv. In between two defenders, right over the field. You see him looking at him. Whenever you look at a receiver that long, bad things could happen as far as the offense is concerned, but he gets it in, breaks 2 tackles, and gets upfield. When you look at a receiver, also the defensive backs that are looking at you are going to go to that receiver, and he got it in there.
At least 1 catch for 39 consecutive games for Marcus Allen. And now Allen on the ground, picking his way for 5. Reuben Carter, the nose tackle, making the stop. It'll be a 2nd down and 5.
Reuben Carter, 68, and Mosbar, 72. The fight goes on in the middle as you see Mosbar with a handful of jersey. But that's where the running game starts and finishes as far as the offense and defense. If you can control the nose, you can run up the middle, and if the nose man controls the center, then you're going to have a guard from one side or the other, double team on the nose and on the nose, and you're going to have somebody open to make the tackle.
2nd and 5 for the Raiders. That's Allen peeling off. And Wilson going deep for Hester. Was a sure touchdown, but Hester could not hang on.
You see the disgust in Mark Wilson's face. He has taken some abuse from the fans for the last several weeks. You can't throw it much better than this. It's a little bit to the inside, but Hester is already beyond him, so it's all right. You've got to catch these balls. He had it, but he didn't hold on to it.
Crowd reacting because the play that you just saw was also shown on the huge screen here at the Coliseum.
Well, this is what we said in our opening, that the wide receivers that the Raiders have always had good ones are not making the big plays this year.
3rd down and 5. And Wilson is stopped. He could not get away. Mecklenburg with the ankle tackle.
Mecklenburg moving around. This time is the right defensive end along with Rulon Jones. Jones comes outside and Mecklenburg goes inside, and that forces Wilson out. This is the big difference, Marv. When I started playing, you could outrun those defensive linemen, and when I quit, you couldn't. I don't know if they got faster or if I got slower. Probably a little of both.
Let's see, using yourself as the measuring stick. Mecklenburg now with 8 sacks on the season. And the punt by Ray Guy. So it will come out to the 20-yard line. Now, last week was the first week that Denver did not record a sack, but Carl Mecklenburg getting on the board just a moment ago. With 3:48 remaining in this first half, we're tied at 14.
It's the elbow of Mark Wilson. When he went down that last time in the sack, he kind of grabbed his arm. I think what he did is jammed his arm and shoulder when he hit the ground, and they're looking at that left shoulder of Mark Wilson.
The backup to Wilson is Rusty Hilger, who has played very little, but has had his moments, a rookie from Oklahoma State. Wilson trying to walk it off. 52-yard punt by Guy, and a first down from the 20 for the Broncos. Will Height. Stopped by Turan. Stacy Turan getting right to the running back, Gerald Wilhite.
Turan playing very well in the place of Mike Davis. Straight blocking, goes to the left side, and nobody picks up Turan. That was one of the concerns with Turan and also McKinney filling in for the two safeties. They need to come up and force the run. That's their safeties do that a lot. In fact, McElroy and Davis were the third and fourth tacklers on the ball club.
2nd and 10 from the 20. Wilhite with a hold. Picked up 4. Millen and Piquel combined. On the scoreboard, Phil Simms just hit Lionel Manuel and a 10-3 Giant lead in the second quarter. 31-yard touchdown pass. Dallas leading Philadelphia, so Dallas at 7-4 and the Giants at 7-4. The Rams playing at Anaheim today, leading Green Bay 14-7 off those Ron Brown kickoff returns. One for 98 yards and another for 86 yards. 3rd down and 6 from the 24. That is Watson in motion. And again the shovel. And it's incomplete. The Raiders claiming it should be a fumble. That was a very dangerous maneuver by Elway because a lot of black jerseys were there.
The Raiders say you can do it to me one time, but don't try it twice. Sean Jones, all 6'7" of him. Elway's going to sprint to his left and hope to pull Jones up the field. Jones plays the guard. Howard coming to him, and actually the ball hits his leg. Not a lot of room for Elway to get that pass, and that's what it is, a forward pass in there.
And on 4th down, Chris Norman will punt from his 9. 3rd punt of the day. Fulton Walker back at his 40-yard line. And a short punt, but gets the roll. Penalty marker is down. We're down to 2:12 left in this first half. Norman will be credited with a 43-yard punt. But let's see what the call is here. Referee Jerry Seaman. The umpire Rick Stewart, who threw the block earlier. And it is a holding penalty on the Raiders.
As long as that is after the kick, then the Raiders will maintain possession of the ball. But if that was before the punt, then the defensive holding would be an automatic first down. Obviously, the Raiders are going to keep possession, so it must have been after the punt.
And a look at the Raider defensive unit.
Number 87, receiving team, post-possession foul, first down.
And that is Trey Junkin, a backup tight end, called on what has been labeled the post-possession foul.
I believe that's Earl Leggett, the defensive line coach. Lyle Alzado over there talking to his buddies, trying to fire him up.
Mark Wilson is all right. He is in there. As the Raiders take over at their 22-yard line. Play action. Wilson throwing on first down. And it was nearly picked off on the deflection by Mike Martin through the hands of Dokie Williams.
Marv, you can tell the confidence building in Mark Wilson. And the way I could see it, he was, after he had the play fake, he was sitting back there and he was bouncing on his toes. He was not rushing it. He was very confident, waiting for his receiver to come open, and threw a good ball. And it was an area where you didn't have a lot of room to fit it in there, but it was a good throw, and you could just tell the confidence building in Mark Wilson.
Wilson went 0 for his first 5, then hit 5 in a row. The first incompletion should have been a touchdown pass. Jesse Hester dropping it in the end zone. Second down play. Marcus Allen. Fancy footwork out to the 28. Tom Jackson, the inspirational leader of the Denver Broncos, making the tackle. 2 minutes left in the official huddle. What's going on?
I've never seen that happen before. They must be getting together just to go over their notes. They keep track of all the fouls and all the timeouts and all the other stuff.
Camaraderie.
I don't know.
Coming up at halftime, NFL 85, all the scores and highlights, and more of the Bill McAtee conversation with Washington Redskin injured quarterback Joe Theismann. Cliff Branch on the field for the first time today, along with Tim Moffitt. It's a 3rd down and 4 from the 28. Looking for Christensen and broke it up. Dennis Smith batting it down.
Here you see Christensen and Smith, the battle that we thought would go on all day. Now the wide receiver comes inside. Christensen makes a little look to the outside, but he didn't have time. I think he was going to try to do the same thing he scored on, but when he got jammed at the line of scrimmage, as he throws his hands up, he says, I should have had it if he just threw it out there far enough.
Ray Guy, one of the NFL's great ones. He's played in 22 postseason games, 3 Super Bowls. And Gerald Wilhite awaits the punt. And a short one. How's that for a build-up? And a guy comes through with one of his worst punts.
You know, all the years I've seen Ray Guy punt, I think he has shanked fewer punts than any other punter that I've watched over the years. Take another look. The snap was perfect. He knew it was a bad punt right off the bat.
13-yard punt for Ray Guy. And this is a man who today went over 46,000 career yards, only the 6th punter in NFL history to do that. And he didn't do it with that type of punt. So the Broncos, first down from the Raider 41. Elway goes sideline for Watson. Run out by Lester Hayes. Minute 38.
It's a great matchup, Marv. Watson, the fine possession wide receiver, going against Hayes and Haynes, 2 of the best bump and run defensive backs in the National Football League. It's interesting because a possession receiver like Watson, and then on the other side you've got the speed of a Vance Johnson.
Broncos first down from the 31. To his left and throwing. Vance Johnson with a spectacular catch. Otis McKinney on the coverage.
Vance Johnson with his speed, excuse me, Marv, just releases to the inside and then goes back to the outside. Now Watson doesn't have the speed to do that, but Johnson with his quick release could get away with it.
25-yard pickup and a 1st and goal. Elway throws it away. Like to correct a mistake that Bob made earlier, mentioning that Ray Guy had 46,000 yards in career punting. How is 46,000 yards?
Who said that, Marv?
Al Locasal, who is always on the case, mentioned it was 4,000 yards.
Yeah,
so
we correct the error that you made.
Yes, our correct staff doing wonders here. It'll be a 2nd and goal from the 6. Minute 6 remaining. First half, we're tied at 14. Elway, what a play! Rolling right and throwing left for the touchdown to Clarence Kane. How many quarterbacks can do that? The roll to the right and throw across the field.
They probably work on this play a lot in practice, and probably not too often does he throw it way back over to the left side. His primary receiver falls down in the end zone. Now he has 2 other ones, and the arm to get it back all the way across field is something that only Elway, probably 1 or 2 other quarterbacks in the league, can make that throw.
An extraordinary play with 59 seconds remaining in this first half. And here's Rich Collis off the high snap. And Denver now by 7, 21-14. The kickoff by Collis, taken by Walker. This is Fulton Walker. Across the 30. Nice return. He went 26 yards on the return. John Elway has now thrown for 3 touchdowns. He's 13 for 21, 125 yards, 18 touchdown passes on the season. You may recall Elway went through that drought. He went some 4 games several weeks ago where he did not throw a touchdown pass, although Denver was in the process of winning.
And he has not played well, really that well, against the Raiders in his brief career. No touchdowns and 3 interceptions in the 3 games that he's played against them.
Wilson throwing, first down. Flag is down. The intended receiver, Jesse Hester. Dennis Smith, stride for stride.
Dennis Smith covering on the play.
And a penalty will be indicated by the referee, Jerry Seaman. It is against the Broncos.
Penalty indicated against the Broncos.
We are down to 46 seconds left in the half. Here's the call.
Illegal contact, number 31, defense, first down.
That's the quarterback, Mike Harden.
Mike Harden having a good year as the only defensive back. Now you can jam him for 5 yards. I don't see anything there, so it must have been earlier. The official had to wait to see that the ball was thrown. And once it was thrown, he said you cannot jam him further downfield than 5 yards.
First down for the 36. Wilson with the time. And almost intercepted by Dennis Smith. He had a better shot than the intended receiver, Jesse Hester. Dennis Smith coming off a tremendous game last week against San Diego. Blocked 2 field goals, 1 leading to that overtime win. Also knocked down 3 passes. Played his college ball at University of Southern California.
Reeves says that he is really the best athlete in the secondary and maybe one of the best athletes on the team. He was injured a little bit earlier this year, and they really need him back in that lineup, and he's playing very well.
That is short of the first down. Hester on the reception. We are down to 30 seconds. Wilson only 6 for 16 for 84.
Hi again, everybody. Bob Costas back at halftime, and in the game you're watching, the Broncos, who twice beat the Raiders by 3 points last year, lead them at the Coliseum 21-14 at the half. John Elway with 3 touchdown passes for Denver. Marcus Allen a big first half, including a 61-yard scoring run. The Raiders begin the day a game back of Denver in the AFC West. The Giants and the Cardinals in St. Louis have gone to the 3rd quarter. Phil Simms has a 31-yard touchdown pass to Lionel Manuel, and it's 10-3 in favor of the Giants. Dallas with 2 second-quarter touchdown passes from Danny White to Doug Cosby, leading Philadelphia 21-10. The Eagles are trying to sweep the Cowboys, 2 in a row in 1 season over them for the first time since 1964. Herman Hunter has a 74-yard scoring run in that game for the Eagles. The Rams and the Packers have gone to halftime in Anaheim. L.A. leads at 14-10. Both Los Angeles touchdowns, kick returns by Ron Brown. He brought back the opening kickoff 98 yards. Then after a Packers score, an 86-yard kick return for a touchdown. That ties him with the Eagles' Timmy Brown and Travis Williams, who did it for the Green Bay Packers with 2 kick returns in a single game for touchdowns. Kansas City has lost 7 in a row, but they're leading at home 17-0 at the half against the Indianapolis Colts. Earlier today, the Jets took undisputed possession of first place in the AFC East. They're now 9-3, a game in front of the Patriots and the Dolphins. They ended New England's 6-game winning streak by winning in overtime 16-13. Freeman McNeil did not play much for the Jets. Their big play offensively in regulation, 88-yard touchdown pass from Ken O'Brien to Wesley Walker. In the first half, Steve Grogan sprained his left knee. He departed. Tony Eason quarterbacked the Patriots the rest of the way. The Jets led 13-3. The Pats scored 10 times in the 4th quarter to close the game up at 13-13 and force overtime. And then this proved to be the winning play. Kurt Sohn brought back a punt 46 yards, and that gave the Jets field position for this field goal attempt by Pat Leahy. He boots it right through from 33 yards out, and it's time for Joe Walton and company to celebrate as they win a crucial game against the Patriots. Miami defeated Buffalo at Buffalo 23-14, 2 touchdown passes for Dan Marino. Up next for Miami, the Chicago Bears. The Bears are now 12-0. They will have to play the Dolphins next Monday night at the Orange Bowl, and Miami hardly ever loses at home, so it'll be a stiff test for Chicago, but you have to wonder who, if anybody, is ever going to stop them. In their last 3 games, the Bears have yielded 3 points. The Lions got a field goal a couple of weeks ago. Now they put together back-to-back shutouts, 44-0 at Dallas, 36-0 at home today against the Atlanta Falcons. Refrigerator Perry had his 3rd touchdown of the year, diving over from a yard out. And Walter Payton had better than 100 yards for the 7th consecutive game. That ties the record. He now shares it with O.J. Simpson and Earl Campbell, and Payton's performance included this 40-yard scoring run in the second quarter. 12-0 for the Chicago Bears. Most definitely the monsters of the Midway at this point. 36-0 the final today. Washington defeats Pittsburgh 30-23. Ken Jenkins brought back the opening kick of the game, 95 yards, not for a touchdown, but to the 3 for Washington. George Rogers took it over from there. Washington comes out on top by 7, and Pittsburgh's record is now 6-6. They're tied for first place in the AFC Central with the Browns, who with Gary Danielson at quarterback defeated Cincinnati today 24-6. Houston rallies and defeats San Diego in a remarkable game, 37-35. Wes Chandler caught an 11-yard scoring pass on a 4th down play from Dan Fouts with less than a minute to go, and it appeared that San Diego had won it on that one. However, on 4th and 15, Oliver Luck came back. He hit Tim Smith down to about the 33-yard line, and that set up this Tony Zendejas field goal with 7 seconds to play. He puts it through with room to spare, and Hugh Campbell's team has the victory, 37-35. Now, Houston and Cincinnati are a game back at 5-7, and the other 2 clubs, the Browns and the Steelers, both at 6-6 in the AFC Central. Tampa Bay, on Donald Ikwabuki's 4th field goal of the day, beats the Lions in overtime at Tampa Bay 19-10. The Bucs are now 2-10 on the year. It was Steve Young's debut as their starting quarterback, and with Earl Campbell rushing for 160 yards, the Saints
half statistics.
There you see the turnovers, 2-1. The Raiders only 6 first downs. Time of possession is big for the Broncos, and 6 of 16 for Mark Wilson. First half, I think, has been pretty inconsistent. That's about the way he came into the game. There were some spurts where he played very well, but then the other times, not so well.
And it was a first half of streaks as Wilson missed his first 5 and then connected on 5 in a row.
And I think Denver is pretty much on line to what we said going in. They have established some run, which has allowed Elway to have more time to throw. As far as Los Angeles, Wilson had that one good drive that really got him back in the ball game, but he's been inconsistent.
And a key drop by the rookie Jesse Hester.
Exactly. Could have been a touchdown. Wasn't Wilson's fault. Well-thrown ball. But that's been their problem, as we alluded to at the top of the show.
Elway 14 for 22, 128 yards, 3 touchdowns. Will Height has run 13 times for 39 yards, and he's caught 3 passes. And Marcus Allen, 88 yards on 8 carries, 1 for 61. So it carries right through, and they will bring it out. The Denver Broncos, with a record of 8-3, they've won 2 in a row by virtue of wild endings over San Diego and San Francisco, while the Los Angeles Raiders 7-4 last week, getting by Cincinnati 13-6. Next Sunday, Raiders will play in Atlanta next Sunday. Denver will be at Pittsburgh, and then home for the Raiders at Mile High on December the 8th. First down at the 20. And it is Gerald Wilhite. Stopped by Matt Millen.
There you see, or you probably didn't see, there was a huddle there between Dan Reeves and Gary Kubiak, giving the signals to the quarterback, and they try to shield him from the other side so the Raiders can't pick him up.
Second down and 7. receiver covered. Coughed it up after the whistle. Sean Jones, the right defensive end, getting to John Elway.
To see good protection, the offensive line. Elway drifts that way, which is really hurting the protection. Had good coverage downfield. Two receivers were breaking to the outside, and one was trying to break to the inside to shake loose. And that time, the defensive backs were jamming them, and they didn't get through.
So Jones gets credit for the sack, his 5th of the year, 3rd for the Raiders today. Looked like the receiver, Vance Johnson, was knocked down. 3rd down and 7. Watson in motion. The swing for Sewell. He tried to turn up to pick up the 1st down, but could not. Jeff Barnes and James Davis would not allow it. So the punting unit checking in, led by Chris Norman.
Lester says, I got my man. Takes him all the way out. I don't know about that, Marv. That might be a little extracurricular activities. I mean, he jammed him within the 5 yards, but then he took him 10 yards out of bounds.
Lester believes in finishing plays off.
Finishing him off. He did that.
4th punt for Chris Norman. And Fulton Walker at his 40. Good coverage by the Broncos, led by Daniel Hunter. First-year man from Henderson State, 35-yard punt and a 6-yard return. And here's Mark Wilson. And the Raider offense back on. Bruce Davis, Henry Lawrence at the tackles, Charlie Hanna, Mickey Marvin at the guards, Don Mosbaum at center. Dopey Williams to the right. Running backs, Marcus Allen, Frank Hawkins. And here's Allen. Good block by Hawkins. Carl Mecklenburg on the tackle of Marcus Allen.
What a durable back this man is right here, Marv. I'll tell you, he always gets the ball. He carries it so much. As we take a look at Joel Collier in the orange cap, the defensive coordinator, the man who has been around for a long time, and as Dan Fouts said last week, he says week in and week out, every time I play the Broncos, they're always the best coached defense that I play against.
2nd down and 5. And Allen short of the 1st down. The free safety, Steve Foley, on the stop. Aside from Marcus Allen, Frank Hawkins has carried the ball only 1 time. That occurred last week against Cincinnati, where Kenny King carried it once for 6 yards.
Here you see the brass of the Raiders calling the offensive plays. Mark Wilson gets them directly from Tom Flores. Flores calling the offensive plays, and Joel Collier calling the defensive plays for the Broncos. It's a matchup of wits. And talking with Flores, he says Wilson actually likes this system a little bit better than calling them himself.
3rd down and 4. Raiders have the extra receiver, Tim Moffitt, now on the field. In motion is Dopey Williams. And here's Wilson picking up the 1st down. Well, Mark Wilson was given the center of the field, and he took advantage.
You see the linebacker, 52, Woodard, run out of your screen. He's going to cover a man, so everybody's got a man downfield, and there's no one left to cover the quarterback. Take a look at the line play. Mecklenburg, 77, gets upfield. He and Jones are too far upfield, and Wilson says, I'm going north, and see you later.
Picked up 10. Allen led by Hawkins. Allen breaks the tackle. Steve Foley could not contain him. And the Raiders now deep in Denver territory.
What a great player this man is. I alluded to it a little early. Very durable. The Raiders lean on him. He has got to be one of the best running backs in the game, not only for his running ability, he can throw the football, and a great receiver coming out of the backfield. In fact, coming into this year, he had caught 4 more passes in 26 of the 41 games that he played in. Great receiver, great talent.
28-yard run, puts him over 100 on the day, as you saw. And they go right back to him. Steve Busick on the stop.
You know, Marv, one of the problems of having such a good back as Allen in the backfield, you have a tendency to go to him too often. You don't want to go to him too much, but by the same token, you want to get him the ball so he can do some things with it. But you got to have that fine balance where you don't overuse him, but yet you don't underuse him.
Do you think they overuse him?
I think they're overusing him. They're depending on him too much. They need to spread the load, but the wide receivers have really let him down. They're just too young, and they haven't come through yet.
Picked up 2, second down and 8, down at the 12. And the swing, it's Hawkins. Close to the first down marker, but short of a first down. Foley on the stop of Frank Hawkins coming out of the backfield.
Dan Reeves has complete confidence in Collier in calling the defensive signals. He just handles the offense, does Reeves, as you see. Wilson looking downfield and then comes off to a secondary receiver. That's the way to do it. Look downfield, and if nothing's open, then drop it off. You read deep to short. You look downfield first, and then you come back to your shorter receivers.
Third down and 1. Raiders go double tight end. Andy Parker has come on. And here's Allen for the first down. Inside the 5. It'll be a first and goal at the 3. Busick on the stop of Marcus Allen. Marcus Allen has gone over 100 yards 7 times in 8 games, 7 out of the last 8. He had 135 against Cincinnati last week. And right now the Raiders first and goal from the 3. Play action with time. Has a man open. Touchdown. It's Trey Junkin. Triple tight end, Junkin in his 3rd year out of Louisiana Tech with his first touchdown. His 2nd catch as a pro.
Used to be a linebacker. He probably caught more passes being a linebacker than he has as tight end.
And Chris Barr has tied it at 21 with 8:55 left. Coliseum in Los Angeles. The lights have been on right throughout. Denver and Los Angeles tied at 21. 8:55 remaining. 3rd quarter. The kickoff by Barr looked to surprise the Broncos. Let's see. It went the 10 yards. And the Raiders have recovered.
Looks as though Chris Barr makes the reception.
It was Barr who came up with it.
Watch the middle. There's nobody for the Broncos in the middle. He just kicks it 10 yards and says, I'll go get it. You defend me. And the 2 Raiders knock the Broncos out of the way. Something that they had obviously felt coming into the ball game from their film study, that the Broncos leave too soon to go back into to their blocking.
A good play and beautifully executed. So the Raiders get it back. And here's Allen. Short pickup. Steve Foley, the free safety, banking Allen at midfield.
The touchdown. Let's go back. Here is Junkin. He is blocking on the play. They wanted to throw it to this side over here. Now watch as Junkin, number 87, the fake was made by Wilson. He's blocking. He's blocking. Blocking all the way, and then all of a sudden, nobody is open, and Wilson runs to his right, and he slips out into the coverage.
Ray Junkin, signed as a free agent, played for the Redskins last year. And Wilson unleashing deep. Intended for Dokie Williams.
They have the speed on the outside, Marv, that they have always had in Branch and all the other great wide receivers. They still like to throw the ball downfield to put pressure on the defensive team. They just haven't been hitting him either for one reason or the other. receivers are dropping them, not getting open, or the quarterback not getting them the ball.
And the quarterback, Mark Wilson, is 8 for 19, 94 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
And the Raider quarterbacks have never been a high percentage type of passer because they throw the ball deep so much. They're going to miss a lot of them, but when they do hit, it's usually for a big play.
3rd down, 7 from midfield. And Wilson sliding for the first down. Again, he had that big opening at the center of the field.
Wilson seems to have been standing on the sideline watching Elway and the Bronco offense because he is saying, hey, if they're covered downfield, why don't I take off running? And that's exactly what he does. They are covered. It's man coverage. There is nobody assigned to Wilson, and he gets upfield for a big first down.
9-yard pickup, so he has run 3 times for 18 yards. First down at the Bronco 40. Allen finding the hole inside the 35. And check out this comparison. Marcus Allen has been a one-man gang, and he has had 2 impressive runs today. Earlier this 3rd quarter for 28, in the 1st quarter the 61-yard touchdown. 133 yards for Allen all told today. And Wilson goes deep. Dennis Smith covering the rookie from Florida State, Jesse Hester.
Take a look right here. We see a live shot of the line, but watch Busick. Now, there are times when the defensive linebacker covers the back if he comes out, and there are times that he just blitzes. Now, he is supposed to cover the back if he comes out. Now, watch him. He says, well, you're not coming. I'm going to blitz. Whoa, wait a minute. You are going out. I better get back and cover you. The little games that go on in the defensive line and linebacker.
And a good hit by Barney Chavis on Mark Wilson. 3rd down, 3. Allen coming out of the backfield, a 19-yard pass play. Mike Hart, the right corner, on the stop, and the Raiders are hot.
You're seeing an Elway style of offense in black uniforms. Wilson dropping back and getting outside the pocket because of the pressure from Woodard. Throws the ball to Allen. Harden says, I thought I had him covered pretty well, but I can't cover him for 5 or 6 seconds. Wilson getting outside the pocket and making some plays. That was not by design, that was by necessity.
First down for the Raiders at the Denver 14, tied at 21. And this time Allen is stopped. Tom Jackson, the outside linebacker, and Rulon Jones, the defensive right end, combining.
See Joe Collier looking into his defensive book. Now, what do they like to go to on 2nd and 9 or 10 yards inside the 15-yard line? It's all in that book. He's got it programmed what the Raiders like to call in this situation, and he'll signal his defense accordingly. On the other side of the field, Tom Flores, calling the plays, knows what the Broncos like to do in this situation, and he'll call a play that he likes against that defense.
Hawkins and Allen are the setbacks. He has Hawkins on a swing to the 15-yard line. Picked up a yard. That was it. Check of the scoreboard. The Giants in front of St. Louis now 20-3. Phil Simms throwing a 2nd touchdown pass, and Dallas and the Giants keeping pace, both coming in at 7 up and 4 down. The Rams playing at Anaheim today down the freeway. Lead Green Bay 21-17. Kansas City over Indianapolis in the 3rd quarter. Raiders 4 for 4 3rd down situations in the 2nd half. And Wilson pegs it. Christensen close to the marker. Mecklenburg on the stop. And you saw Wilson indicate just short. Let's see.
Take a look. Smith, man-to-man coverage. Christensen set up like he was blocking initially to try and get Smith attention away from him. You watch Mecklenburg, 77, dropping back in the coverage. It's zone coverage. He's helping out anybody he can. The impressive thing, Marv, if you saw Wilson drop back, that time he looked to his left to look off the defensive backs and then through to his right and Christensen. He knew where he wanted to go. He was just decoying until he was ready to throw the football.
Raiders going for it, 4th and less than a yard. And the Raiders pick up the first down. So the hurdle move.
I think you have an injured Raider down there, Marv. So we take another look from ground level. Kind of surprising to see Hawkins carrying the football and Allen doing the blocking.
And the Raiders have picked up the first down.
Sure, the Broncos were also surprised that that play came that side, because normally Hawkins will lead him to the other side and let Allen jump over the top.
1st and goal from the 4. Close to the goal line. Lewis Wright able to keep him away.
We'll take a look at Allen. This is the play I thought they would run before, and I'm sure the Broncos thought so too, with Hawkins leading and Allen going across the formation.
And a 2nd and goal from the 1. Denver 21. Los Angeles Raiders 21. They line up in the eye now. And the bootleg, and Wilson has it. Touchdown. Beautiful fake.
You can almost see the confidence level in Mark Wilson soaring as he fakes to the right, draws all the Broncos. He has a receiver in the end zone, Parker, waiting for him, and he says, I'll just take it the land route and score the touchdown myself.
And it was the squib kick by Chris Barr that Barr recovered that has led to this. And the Raiders move in front now with Barr putting it through. They lead it by the score of 28-21. Wilkerson in a turnaround here in the 3rd quarter. And he has led his Los Angeles Raiders to a 28-21 lead over the Denver Broncos. 3.5 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Denver has not had the football. They had it for that quick series, and then the touchdown to Trey Junkin, touchdown pass, then the swift kick leading to the Wilson on the keeper, able to bring it in. Tricky hop, and it will come out to the 20-yard line. Chris Barr has had himself a strong game. And here are the Broncos now from their 20.
Broncos need to reestablish some momentum. Obviously, it's on the sideline with the Raiders at this point.
Flag thrown. And that is the referee, Jerry Seaman, chatting with Bob Rice, the side judge.
Personal foul, number 61, receiving team, half the distance to the goal line, first down, 10-yard line.
It is called on Andre Townsend, the defensive lineman. So the ball is marked back at the 10. John Elway has had an outstanding game, but has not been able to touch the football in this 3rd quarter.
He seems confident, too. You can look into his eyes and just, 3 touchdowns already in the ball game. I think this is just going to be who scores last and who's going to win.
Wilhite, the lone deep back. And it's Wilhite on a draw. Picked up 2. Bill Piquel and Matt Millen combining on the stop.
Denver's been in a few of those high-scoring games in the last month or two.
Last week in overtime, beating San Diego 30-24. Denver, not a club that you want to get into overtime with. They are 8-1-1 in overtime games, 2-0 this season, 8-1-1 lifetime. And Elway ducks it down. Intended for Vance Johnson, who was played by Lester Hayes.
Good protection, and this is one of the reasons why 75 Howie Long getting a lot of attention. 64 Bryant holds his arm out and says, wait a minute, I got to help over here. Howard doing a good job. Bishop in there. Howie's looking, saying, they're holding me, coach, they're holding me.
Howie Long, a man who combines enormous strength with quickness. Third down and 8. Took a pop. He was really right. Intended for Steve Watson. It was Long on the hit of Elway.
Howie Long from the right side this time. He scoots out over there against Studdard, runs around Studdard, and Elway barely gets it off, but he'll remember that blow. Wrapped up like a pretzel.
And another quickie series for Denver. As the Raiders have taken charge, Broncos have not picked up a first down in this third quarter. The Raiders with 8. And Chris Norman will punt for the 5th time today. Colton Walker is back at the Denver 45. 2.5 left, third quarter. And Walker stopped at the 43 by Randy Robbins. 32-yard punt, only a 1-yard return. Similar traits to that of Bob Greasy.
I used to play basketball.
Al used to fight a lot when he played basketball. In fact, was in the pros strictly as a hatchet man, as even Al will admit. But getting back to football, what about this turnaround by Mark Wilson?
Well, the thing about Mark Wilson, he's been inconsistent, and he has been inconsistent in this ball game. But he is riding the crest of a strong series of 2 right now. If he can put another one together, they'll have a big lead going into the fourth quarter.
Off the first down play, Allen out of the backfield, inside the 40. 2:15 remaining in the third quarter. And the Raiders leading the Broncos 28-21. Giants doing it over St. Louis now 27-23. 37-yard run for a touchdown by George Adams. The Rams leading Green Bay in the fourth quarter 28-17. Second down and 4. 6-yard pickup on that pass play. Ball at the Bronco 38. Flag thrown. Allen hit the line, but a penalty marker down. And a Raider is injured. Looks to be the right tackle, Henry Lawrence. Henry Lawrence, who made it to the Pro Bowl last year out of Florida A&M in his 12th season in the NFL. Raiders with a very deep offensive line. The backups including people like Shelby Jordan, Kurt Marsh, who played well last week, particularly in that final drive against Cincinnati. Dave Dalby is the backup center. So they're in good shape.
They really are. Marsh, #1 draft choice. We'll get the call here from Jerry Seaman.
Illegal motion, number 32, offense, still second down.
So the motion called on Marcus Allen, and Shelby Jordan has come on, replacing Henry Lawrence. Timeout is called. We'll be back right after Coliseum in Los Angeles. The rain has stopped. There was a steady drizzle throughout. The lights have been on from the start of the game. A 2nd and 9 for Mark Wilson. And Wilson picks it too far, and it's intercepted. And Lewis Wright was looking to lateral. So Wright On the pickoff as Wilson overthrew.
Take another look at this. I thought one of the Raiders was offside starting the play, but Wilson, the inconsistency, 2 strong drives, and now trying to throw the ball. I don't know where. I guess he was throwing it to the receiver on a curl. Dokie Williams, Louis Wright making the interception, but I think the Raiders wide receiver, in fact, Williams, was offside on the play. Dan Reeves saying coming into this ball game, we have to establish the run and not turn the ball over in good field position for the Raiders. Well, the last 3 possessions, the Raiders have started on their own 42, their 48, and then the Broncos 43. So he got a reprieve with that interception.
Louis Wright with his 4th interception of the season. One of the heroes of the victory in overtime over San Diego last week. And Denver takes over from their 44. Long count. A hole for Wilhite. Reggie McKenzie on the stop. Set for an update. Let's go to NFL 85.
Marv, a double dose of bad news for the Patriots today. Not only did they lose in overtime to the Jets and thus fall a game behind in the AFC East race, but they have lost the man who directed them through their 6-game winning streak. Steve Grogan hurt on this play, strained knee ligaments, and the update is he could miss as much as a month. Marv?
All right, Bob, 41 seconds remaining here in the 3rd quarter. Wilhite has the first down. And the word on Henry Lawrence is a bruised left knee. The Raiders are hopeful that he will be able to return.
And that left knee's got a lot of poundage to support. Ooh. Henry Lawrence probably weighing over 300 pounds.
What a subtle way of saying he's a big man.
Well, he is a big man. When I was in the Pro Bowl with him, I was glad to have him in front of me.
Oh, tries to slip away from it. Very clever banner there. Very nice. Yes. Guaranteed to get on camera with the mentality of our director and producer. All right, that's the end of the 3rd quarter here at the Coliseum, with the Raiders leading the Broncos. 20 Flores, quiet man, but in control, 7th year head coach of the Raiders. He's coached 2 Super Bowl winners. And his Raiders lead the Broncos 28-21 as we get underway 4th quarter. 1st and 10 from the 43. Harold Wilhite. Picked up 3, Piquel and Turan converging on the tackle. 2nd down and 7 now at the Raider 40-yard line. So Wilhite getting quite a bit of action today. Suffered that pinched nerve in his neck last week. Earlier in the season, bothered by a knee problem. Incomplete, but a flag thrown. Intended for the tight end, Clarence Kay.
Elway was knocked to the ground, and flag is in the backfield, so I think you're going to get an offensive holding call.
Holding number 37, defense. Holding number 70, offense. Penalty decline. Still 2nd down.
So it's Hayes of the Raiders and Studdard of the Broncos.
You know, we must have had 4 or 5 penalties already on Lester Hayes and Mike Haynes, the defensive backs that really play a lot of ball. You know, that can cost a team. You know, and it's amazing the Raiders have been able to overcome all the penalties every year. They seem to be at the bottom of the list as far as most penalties, and sooner or later that's going to catch up with you. I'm surprised the Broncos, Marv, aren't getting Elway outside the pocket. He's been knocked down inside the pocket. I'd like to see him get him out a little bit more.
2nd and 7. That is Johnson in motion. Intended for the tight end Wright. Stacy Duran was right with James Wright. Caught 4 passes last week against the Chargers, and as we mentioned earlier, in recent weeks the tight ends have certainly gotten into the offense.
Well, I think they're looking more to their tight ends because of Hayes and Haynes, very tough on the outside. But the other thing, he's getting more pressure up the middle now, and I think playing man-to-man coverage in the secondary, you don't have that big cushion to complete the ball, especially when you have the pressure. The other thing is get him outside the pocket where you have more time and just drill it to the man that's open.
And it's a 3rd and 7 for Elway. Fake the reverse. And throw it toward Brown, and Watson on the catch for the first down. Otis McKinney on the stop, a 17-yard pass play.
The Broncos getting him outside the pocket. More time. Fake the play. Now you get outside. Now you've got some time. Now it's not a matter of reading. It's just seeing who's open and throwing the football. You couldn't tell who he was throwing it to because there was 2 receivers there. But Elway is more dangerous, especially against a team with aggressive rush and aggressive coverage outside the pocket.
3rd catch of the day for Steve Watson. And a first down for Denver. That's Sampson peeling off. And here is Wilhite turning the corner. And bumped out at the 16. Otis McKinney pushed him out. McKinney, a starter for the injured Van McElroy, who had re-aggravated the hamstring pull last week against Cincinnati.
Rod Martin complaining to the official on that side that he was being held by Clarence Kay. And the way the running back went around that end where Martin was, I would have to agree with him because Martin normally will make that play come off the block.
Denver has a 2nd and 2 inside the 15.
Oh, yes, taking off and then not getting done what he wanted to get done.
Well, he saw Sampson pull up as he started to go into motion, and a timeout has been called. We'll be right back. 63,161 at the Coliseum in Los Angeles on a rainy, nasty day in Southern California. They sold close to 80,000 tickets. So 15,000 no-shows. Big crowd here in L.A. And you can hear them as the Broncos have a 2nd and 2 at the 15. Big hole for Steve Sewell, who has the first down. McKenzie on the stop.
Keith Bishop throwing a good block as you look to the sideline. Giving the signals. Kubiak.
Backup quarterback Gary Kubiak, who last year led Denver to an overtime victory over the Raiders last October, coming on for John Elway. First down at the 12. Raiders lead it 28-21. Elway off the roll. And threw it away. He was being chased by Mikel. He was looking again to go across the field. Penalty marker also thrown, but he did succeed down at the other end of the second quarter by hitting Clarence Kay for a touchdown as he whirled right and threw far across to his left.
Bill Mikel is out of breath from chasing John Elway. Defensive holding again on the Raiders.
Referee Jerry Seaman looking to have the ball spotted, and now here's the call.
Illegal use of hands to the face, number 99, defense.
It's Sean Jones, second-year man from Northeastern, who is replacing the injured Lyle Alzado. There's Jones, and 3 sacks opening day in the Raider victory over the Jets. Raiders' top draft pick last year, a second-round selection.
Late substitutions for the Raiders. They think it's going to be a pass.
First and goal at the 6. And it's Sewell dancing outside. And pushed back. They have gotten to the 4. Let's see where they mark it. Steve Sewell, the rookie from Oklahoma, was stacked up by Stacy Turan.
Marv, the coaches on the sideline will look for certain players to substitute. Steve Sewell comes into the ball game. They probably thought that Denver was going to throw the ball because Sewell has been catching the ball rather than running it. So the Raiders substituted their pass defense players, and he had to run. But there's a lot of strategy going on in the press box.
Second and goal from the 4, and it's Sewell. Sewell is in. Touchdown. His second touchdown in the National Football League. The other one coming on a 54-yard pass play. And the Broncos move within 1.
Sewell, good blocking up front. You see Bishop pulling and leading Wilhite, 47. Mike Haynes just covering his man. Now he sees the hole, cuts up to the inside, and dives into the end zone for the touchdown.
Steve Sewell, who has carried the ball 7 times for 28 yards, bringing Denver within 1. Now Rich Carlos will look to tie it. The holder is Kubiak. And we are even at 28. 9 plays for 56 yards. We'll be right back. Joined by Bob Greasy and his fabled telestrator, Bob being the strong company man, giving up a Thanksgiving Day at home to be with you.
Tell that to my wife and see how she likes it. But one thing, the Detroit Lions, very tough at home. They've not lost at home all year. And, of course, the Jets going on the road after winning today and getting the 1-game lead over the Dolphins and the Patriots. Should be a good ball game.
Kickoff by Rich Carlos, taken by Fulton Walker, out to the 15. High steps his way across the 25-yard line. And again, a flag is thrown. Simon Fletcher, rookie from University of Houston, on the stop of Walker. There's that grimace by the referee, Jerry Seaman. And there's the hold called on the Raiders. He has that transfixed look as he indicates the penalty. And this will be the worst field position of the second half for the Raiders.
Illegal use of hands in the back. Number 43, receiving team during the return. First down.
Number 43 is Sam Seal, the other kickoff return man, along with Fulton Walker. Sam trying to help out.
Walker has done a good job for this Raider team, Marv, since he's come over from the Dolphins. I think he's number 3 or 4 in the National Football League. Actually, number 4 in punt return, so they've done very well.
Raiders first down from the 12. And it's Marcus Allen reaching out near the 15. Marty Chavis on the stop. 11 and a half remaining, fourth quarter. Raiders and Broncos tied at 28. Giants winning big over St. Louis, 34-3 in St. Louis. Rams having their way against Green Bay, bouncing back from the loss to the Falcons last week. And we are even at 28. John Elway has thrown 3. It's been an up and down day for Raider quarterback Mark Wilson. Marcus Allen, 17 carries, 138 yards. And Wilson to throw with time. It's deflected, incomplete. Intended for Christensen.
Mecklenburg moving around this time as a linebacker, comes straight forward, plays off of 2, gets his hands up and knocks the ball down. Good penetration by Mecklenburg. Really was an in-between size, wasn't big enough to be a defensive lineman. It was probably too big for a linebacker, but the Broncos drafted him 4 years ago in the 12th round and really made a reclamation project out of him. Last year played linebacker and is really the star, if there is a star, of that no-name Bronco defense.
And Marcus Allen limping to the sideline. Kenny King has come on. King and Hawkins now in the backfield. And Wilson throwing one and completing to Kenny King. A very soft toss, but right on target. So King comes out of the backfield and combines on a 37-yard reception.
King with fresh legs. You'll see him right here. What he's going to do is just swing out of the backfield. Fresh legs, having only caught 2 passes all year. All the other receivers come to the inside. You see Christensen now. It's man-to-man. Good throw by Wilson, and that is throwing it to the outside where King can make the play.
Kenny King lost his starting job to Frank Hawkins. He's been primarily a backup halfback. And King gets the call here. Ken Woodard, the outside linebacker, making the stop. Kenny King in his 7th season out of Oklahoma, a 3rd-round draft pick of Houston. In 1980, he was a running mate of Earl Campbell with the Houston Oilers. And Kenny hears it from the crowd as he heads back off. Marcus Allen, who hobbled off 2 plays back, apparently all right. He and Hawkins are the setbacks. 2nd and 8 from the 46. Intended for the tight end, Todd Christensen. And a 3rd down play coming up for Wilson. Kansas City leading Indianapolis 20-7.
Christensen shaking his head as he comes back to the huddle. Wilson saw a blitz, and this free safety, Tony Lilly, had to come all the way across the field to cover Christensen on a little out. If he would have caught it, there was an opportunity to make some big yardage.
3rd down play from the Denver 46. And Wilson throwing deep. Broken up. Steve Foley keeping it away from Jesse Hester.
Underthrown, Marv. He had him out there. Hester had split 2 defenders. He could have gotten the ball downfield further. Hester could have run down under it. Just an underthrow. You see right here, he was between them, and he was beyond them. If he could have thrown the ball downfield, but he had to stop and come back, and then did a good job of breaking the interception up.
And Ray Guy punting for the 5th time. His last attempt was that shank, the 13-yard punt. Gerald Wilhite is back at his 10. And Guy able to angle it, but let's see. He got the hop. Inside the 1.
Touchback.
No, they are saying touchback. All right. Raiders are arguing. Van Pelt. Brad Van Pelt pleading his case. Meeting between the Raiders and Broncos. There have been some Dannies. Remember this last year, Rich Carlos with the game-winning field goal in overtime to make it a sweep of the 2-game set a year ago.
And you know, it may come down to the field goal kickers again, Marv. It's shaping up that way.
Tied at 28, 9:56 left in this 4th quarter off the 46-yard punt by Guy that did carry in. Elway, 1st down from his 20. Was nearly intercepted, and he would like to have that one back. Lester Hayes with some theatrics. It was intended for Steve Watson.
Some theatrics is right. You're in Hollywood. Look at him. Had 13 interceptions one year. 4 of them didn't even count. He had 17 and 5 in the playoffs. 22 as you see Watson coming to the inside and then starting back to the outside. Lester said, "I'll have none of it." Not the best hands in the world. In fact, the Raiders last in turnovers in the National Football League defensively.
2nd down, and the handoff to Wilhite, who did a little juggle with it. Rod Martin on the stop. Picked up 1. It'll be a 3rd down and 9.
2nd down, 9 yards to go.
Rod Martin, the outside linebacker. Some football people said he was too small when he came out of University of Southern California as a 12th round draft pick. Sampson in motion. Elway has the time. As Piquel was blocked, and Elway running for the 1st down. Elway lunging across the 30. And the folks holding the yardstick markers made a quick move to get out of the way.
Well, they did. Look at the protection right here. As 57, Robinson seems to be eyeballing Elway. If he go to run, I'm going to catch him, but he gets blocked. And now Elway takes off around the end. And it's interesting, Marv, how this game is coming down to the running quarterback. It seems like Wilson makes his best plays when he's outside the pocket, and Elway is doing the same thing. Can't get anything done inside, outside the pocket. He seems to be doing pretty well.
And picked up the first down at the 31-yard line. 9 minutes left, fourth quarter. We are tied at 28. This is Sewell. Nearly pulled away. Brad Van Pelt got a piece of it. And Van Pelt shaken up.
We'll take a look at Bishop right here. He's going to pull and block to the side the play is going to as right 87 goes across. Now Bishop pulling and leading around the outside, gets a block or misses the block. The linebacker kind of hit inside, but Van Pelt going down. I don't know, Marvin.
I think he landed hard on his knee. Brad Van Pelt, who joined the Raiders last season, 6 weeks into the season, following 11 years with the Giants, took over Ted Hendricks' old spot at his 13th year out of Michigan State. We have seen more of Jerry Robinson today as the Raiders have been rotating. He had been used sparingly since he was acquired from the Eagles.
I think he's been used primarily on pass defense and comes in certain passing situations. But the field, as we see, Van Pelt seems to be all right. The field is in good shape. We've had intermittent drizzle throughout the ball game. The grass seems to be a little slippery on top, but the field is solid, and you haven't seen any big mud piles or anybody really tripping because of the field.
I know you normally check out the playing field before ball games. Kind of rainy conditions today. Did you check it out?
Certainly did. Set my spies down.
Set your spies down?
Spies down, yes. My spies went down, checked the field out, and
in effect, you stayed away from the muddy field. Would not go onto the field. Again, it's Sewell. And some extracurricular activity. This is what Dan Reeves had warned about during the course of the week. Don't let the Raiders get to you. The message from Reeves. Millen and Turan on the stop. And we're swinging by the NFL scoreboard. Rams over Green Bay, 31-17. They are in the fourth. Kansas City leading Indianapolis. It's a third down and 1. And again, the rain is falling. Steve Sewell accelerating. Was pushed back. We'll have to see where they spot it. Ron Martin, number 53, and Mike Haynes combining.
Third and short yardage, as you see, Martin 53 in the defensive surge. Good block on Martin by Studdard, but Sewell seems to be running a little bit high for a third and short yardage situation. Whenever you stand up in that defensive line, you can expect to be thrown back on your back.
So the first down picked up by Sewell at the 41. 7.5 left, fourth quarter. And here's Wilhite finding the hole out across the 45. Tonight on NBC, Punky Brewster followed down in 5 at the 46. Clarence Kay, but a penalty marker is down in the secondary. Kay on the reception, stopped by Bill Piquel. But a flag thrown.
Flag thrown from the field judge deep in the center of the field, normally an infraction on the tight end. Defensive holding against the Raiders.
then it's Mike Haynes, the right corner, discussing it. So the Raiders with their 10th penalty of the day. Broncos hit for only 4.
Holding, number 22, defense, first down.
And it is Haynes.
That's his second or third. Mike Lester Hayes has 3 or 4, and I know we mentioned it once before, Marv. I think it bears repeating. The Raiders last in the AFC in being penalized, and 24th out of the entire 28 teams in the league. So this is not uncommon for the Raiders.
First down for Denver at the Raider 49. And here is Sewell. And again a flag has been thrown. Sewell to the Raider 45. Reggie McKenzie, a rookie from Tennessee, on the stop. 6:17 left in the fourth quarter, tied at 28.
Tripping.
So the penalty now on the Broncos.
Tripping, number 54, offense, 10-yard penalty, still first down.
That's the left guard, Keith Bishop, called on the trip. Final score, the Giants over the Cardinals. So the Giants go to 8-4, and Dallas in front of Philadelphia, now looking to keep pace with the Giants in the NFC East. It'll be a 1st and 20. From their 41-yard line. Now under 6 minutes remaining. Tied at 28. Elway hauled down. The fumble is recovered by Stoddard, the left tackle, but it may have been whistled dead. Long and Jones combining for the 4th sack of the day for the Los Angeles Raiders.
Right, 87 is the man he wants to get the ball to. You see him blocking for a second. Elway rolls to his right. Now he looks back. He almost, if he had a second more, he may have had time to come back to right, because right was going to be open in another second or two, and that's the thing that sprinting out gets you more time to throw the football. It seems like they're going to that more and more now.
And this is a 2nd down, and yes, 31 to go. And Elway throws the strike. Obviously way short of the first down as he combines with Vance Johnson. Sam Seal was right there.
Vance Johnson was saying that Steve Watson, the other receiver, number 81, has helped him a great deal. In fact, last week after Johnson had run a kickoff back for a touchdown and it was really called back because of a flag, he came back into the huddle and Watson told him what pattern to run because he was so out of breath, wanted to make sure he knew what he was running.
3rd and 22. Big rush again. And broken up. Intended for Clint Sampson. James Davis on the coverage. Davis, the extra defensive back. And the punted unit comes on.
Go back and take a look at what's going on with these cornerbacks. Whoops. Well, there was not a foul call. I don't know if they called that inadvertent incidental tripping or what. It's hard to tell where the ball went. The ball was already thrown or what, but certainly a lot of penalties against the Raider defensive backs.
4:18 left, 4th quarter. And here's Chris Norman from his 25. And a good punt. This is Fulton Walker at his 20. 25. And a good coverage by the Broncos. So now the Raiders will have a shot at it. A 41-yard punt and an 8-yard return. Mark Wilson trots back out of the field. Denver 28. LA Raiders 28. Elway has thrown for 3. Marcus Allen with a 61-yard touchdown run. Mark Wilson has thrown for 2, run for 1. of time left in the fourth quarter. And here's Allen coming to the outside. Good second effort by Marcus Allen. Dennis Smith, the strong safety, finally got him out.
Allen has such body control. He can see where the defender is coming from, and then just kind of, if he has his weight forward, he can shift it to the back, slide it to the outside. I think the reason he's been so durable is because he has been able to stay free of injury. It's very difficult to get a tough, straight-on hit on him. As you see Mecklenburg missing. Right in there, he fakes like he's going up the middle and then gets out of bounds and avoids the big hit.
9-yard run, so a second down and 1. And picks up the first down. So Allen to the 40. Ken Wooder, the outside linebacker, on the stop. And a first down for the Raiders. A look at the AFC playoff picture, including today's play.
5 teams will qualify, 3 divisional winners and 2 wild card teams.
And going into today's play, Denver at 8-3, Raiders at 7-4. Again, it is Marcus Allen, Jim Ryan on the stop. Allen has carried the ball 21 times for 156 yards. He's caught 3 for 38 yards, so all told 194 yards from Marcus Allen.
I wonder how that compares to their total offense of the day. I mean, obviously they lean on him pretty heavily. It'd be interesting to find out how much of that is their total offense.
Well, we'll put our crack statistical staff on it. 2nd and 7. Hawkins, the lone deep back now. Wilson slipped and brought down. Lost his footing.
He lost his footing when he got hit over the head by Mecklenburg. The no-name defense. It's Chris Barr with a big smile on his face, trying to keep the pressure off of him. Knows it may come down to he or Rich Karlis.
Statistician Ross Schneiderman with the facts that you have requested. Raiders 337 total yards. Allen overall 194. 2 minutes and 41 seconds remaining in this fourth quarter. It's a 3rd down and 7. Look out as Wilson is brought down.
Dennis Smith. That's his 4th sack of the season. Obviously a safety blitz coming on. Wilson knew that he had man-to-man coverage downfield if he just had a little bit longer to throw. Mecklenburg up there just drawing the attention of the center. Drops off for coverage, and Wilson did not see Dennis Smith coming from the outside. A well-designed play by Joe Collier. Team concept, team defense.
So the Raider drive is stopped. Clock running down at 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Remaining fourth quarter. And here is Ray Guy looking to angle. And it stops at about the 26-yard line, a 39-yard punt. So the Broncos get it back. McKellen Barnes right there. Now 2 minutes remaining in this fourth quarter. We'll be back right after these words.
Steve Largent twice for big gains in a fourth quarter drive to get his Seahawks to the Dolphin 2. It's deadlocked at 20. With nearly 2 minutes remaining, Seattle doesn't want to settle for 3. Do they throw to Largent once again? It's the ball to Warner, who scored easily around right end. His clutch touchdown sent Seattle to the AFC Championship. The Seahawks made the right choice.
Dan Reeves tied at 28. 2 minutes remaining in this fourth quarter. The Denver Broncos have been superb in overtime. They're 2-0 this season in OT. There's Rich Karlis, who beat the Raiders last year in overtime, and 8-1-1 all time in overtime games. The only loss coming in 1978 against Minnesota. Raiders involved in 1 overtime game this season, and that a 40-34 loss to the San Diego Chargers.
Raiders being 4-3 all lifetime in overtime games, but Is it true that the Broncos have been in 2 overtime games this year, won them both, and their offense has not been on the field? Is that?
That's right. 2nd and 6. And again, the Broncos staying on the ground. Harold Wilhite stopped by Rod Martin. Denver has 2 timeouts remaining. Los Angeles with 3 left. Wilhite with the 3-yard carry has now run for 82 yards on the day, so that equals his NFL career high, which was accomplished against the same Raiders last season. 3rd down and 4. Sampson in motion. Elway goes the middle. And let's see. He has Watson. Steve Watson with a nice circus catch. Lester Hayes on the coverage.
Comes to the inside, as we've seen him do today. Stops and goes back to the outside. A great throw by Elway. Good coverage. Here we are right here. He's going to come to the inside and then break back to the outside. Now watch Hayes. Hayes has covered him as tight as you can possibly do it. Comes to the inside. Now Hayes stops his momentum and goes back to the outside. Not much of a target, but Elway sticks it right to the outside where only Watson can catch it.
And the 4th reception of the day by Watson. 1 minute and 12 remaining in the 4th quarter. The Broncos calling for time, so they have 1 timeout left.
And a big first down that was for the Broncos. Keeps possession, keeps the Raiders. I'm sure if they would have not made the first down, the Raiders would have called timeout because obviously they would have been getting the football. But coming down to the end, Marv, another exciting game here in the LA Coliseum. Last week it was a defensive struggle. This week an offensive struggle, and really on a day that you wouldn't expect the offenses to shine. An overcast, rainy day. But certainly it hasn't been the case.
Denver first down from their 38. 82. Vance Johnson coming toward you. And this time some confusion. And
timeout is allowed. You cannot have consecutive timeouts.
Timeout was called off. Cannot call consecutive timeouts. That would have been the final timeout for Denver.
But they restarted the 30-second clock.
Flag is thrown. The completion to Sewell. Stacy Turan on the stop. That 30-second clock was down to its final seconds. That's why Elway had called for the time.
That's why he wanted a time. But then when Jerry Seaman came in, they restarted, I'm sure.
12 men on the field. Offense.
That's delay of game, Jerry.
Down to 1 minute 4 remaining in regulation.
Well, at that point, you don't want to take your final timeout anyway. It's better to take a delay of game than take your final timeout. Dan Reeves very calm on the sideline. Wasn't always that way.
In fact, he is wearing a reminder. He has a, well, let's take a listen.
12 men on the field. Offense, still first down.
Dan Reeves is wearing what he calls a special tie, and that is only to serve as a reminder not to go crazy.
Well, he said at the beginning of the Elway era that he was John's own worst enemy because he was too hyper and just yelled at him too much, and the tie is one way to kind of settle himself down.
First and 15 back at the 33. And here's Sewell. And again a flag is thrown. Sewell not able to make the turn. So the penalty marker down with 59 seconds left in regulation. And it's against Denver. tie certainly doing wonders.
Well, you don't know what he would have done without the tie. Dan Reeves admitting that he didn't handle John Elway correctly. He said that Don Shula did a much better job with Dan Marino than he did with Elway, but
Personal foul, clipping, number 54, offense, still first down.
Steve Bishop, the left guard, called on the penalty. And it backs Denver now to a first down. And very long. What's the philosophy here of the Broncos? Are they too far back, or they just play to get into overtime, not make a mistake?
I think the Broncos are going to be a little bit conservative, and the Raiders, you may see the Raiders using their timeouts.
Rohite with the clock stopped and 52 seconds remaining in regulation. We'll be right back. James Davis with the tackle, and we're down to 42 seconds remaining. And those of you who may have just tuned in looking for a full NBC prime time lineup, Marv Albert with Bob Greasy. Following the completion of the Raiders and the Broncos, you will see Silver Spoons and then Academy Award winner George C. Scott in Mussolini, The Untold Story, Part 1. That'll be upcoming following the Raiders and the Broncos. And with 42 seconds remaining, we may have quite a bit of football ahead. 42 seconds left in regulation.
Well, the Raiders have one timeout remaining. It's third and whatever, 25 or so. So the Broncos obviously are going to run something that is, they're not going to turn the ball over on. You would think they're hoping right now for overtime. The Raiders can call a timeout and get the ball after the punt with maybe 35, 36, 37 seconds, and they've got a shot at winning this game before it goes into overtime.
Third down play. And here's Sewell. Out to the 24. And we now have 35 seconds left. The clock is stopped as a timeout is called by the Raiders, their final timeout. So Denver has the one left. And you will see the punting unit come on.
Of course, the key thing here is the Raiders can go for the block. The Broncos have had some problems in the last few weeks with their punting and getting the punt off. They've had two blocks, really only one that counted because one was partially blocked and went past the line of scrimmage. But the key thing here is, are they going to rush the punter, or are they going to drop back and try and get a return?
Chris Norman had one blocked last week by the Chargers. It'll be Fulton Walker on the return. Walker among the leaders in the AFC, averaging 11 yards per punt return. There he is in his 5th year out of West Virginia, one-time Miami Dolphin, and he is back at his 35-yard line. And there is Chris Norman awaiting the snap back at his 10.
I think you go for the block, Mark.
10 men on the line for the Raiders. Good punt by Norman. Sends Walker back.
Come on, baby.
Walker 25, 30. Has an opening. And the punter, Norman, gets involved in the tackle. We have 20 seconds remaining in regulation. A 58-yard punt and a 20-yard return.
Great punt. He really out-kicked his coverage. He's going to run 10 yards before he even runs into a Bronco, and then makes a good move here as Squarick, 58, does not make the block. It's a good no block and then gets upfield. Chris Barr only 2 of 8 outside the 40-yard line, so they have to get it in pretty close to get into his range.
And here is Wilson looking downfield, throwing sideline, and he is out of bounds.
Great interception, a one-handed interception by Wilson.
But out of bounds with 13 seconds remaining in regulation. And Doki Williams is hurt.
They can ill afford to lose Doki, the only, well, I started to say the only veteran receiver. They have Cliff Branch, who has been activated a couple of weeks ago after a hamstring injury. But really, of the 3 that are playing, the only veteran receiver, as we take a look. Oh, Wilson fell on his ankle. It looks like it might be his ankle or a twisted knee. Seems to be all right up and moving around, but definitely had a little bit of a twist on that knee as Wilson fell on his ankle.
13 seconds remaining in regulation. Headed in the direction of overtime. Raiders have a second down play. They are at their 47. Incidentally, the longest on the season for Chris Barr is a 41-yard field goal.
That would mean, Marv, they would have to get it down inside the 25-yard line to get in his range. If it were on the 23-yard line, a 40-yard field goal.
And Barr, after the slow start, has shown some signs in recent weeks. Got 2 of 2 last week against Cincinnati. That's how far they have to go. 13 seconds left in this 4th quarter. And here's Wilson looking to pop it down. Now he goes short. He has Allen, who steps out. And 6 seconds remain.
Of course, having the ball against the Broncos, you have to be a little bit careful, because the 2 games that the Broncos won in overtime, the offense wasn't on the field. One, the defense intercepted a pass. I think it was Hunter, and set up a field goal by Carlos. And then the other, of course, the special teams last week on the block by Dennis Smith, and then Louis Wright picking it up and running it into the end zone. So just because their offense isn't on the field doesn't mean you have to worry about it.
All right, here is Wilson. Time running out. See, 1 second remaining.
They'll have a shot at it.
They certainly do. 1 second remaining. And it's Jesse Hester, the man who dropped the touchdown pass earlier in the game, coming up with a clutch reception.
Good protection. Wilson making sure he doesn't get it picked off. Throws it over 2 defenders. And steps out with 1 second. As you look, Hester at the bottom of your screen. Throwing it in between. Hester with a presence. Here we go.
And this will be about a 40-yard kick. He hit from 41 earlier this year. His longest ever, 45. This is for the ball game.
Yeah!
So we go to overtime. The 40-yard attempt by Barr.
Plenty of leg. The ball, if it would have curved to the left like most right-legged kickers do, would have come in, but he doesn't have to tell the referee. He can see by the reaction of Chris Barr that it was just outside. It looked like Millen, number 55, was asking him, did you make it? Wasn't it in? And of course, to have to tell that big hunk of a man, Millen, that it was not in, a little bit intimidating.
All right, here's another look, and you'll see the conversation by Millen.
Of course, Millen was busy blocking. He didn't want to get it blocked. Millen says, it's good. It's good, isn't it? Isn't it good? Wasn't it good, Chris? Chris, I'm afraid it wasn't, man.
Chris saying, are you crazy?
Number 7, it is in the air. Tails is called. It is head.
We want the ball! We want the ball!
Yes, Rod Martin says we want the ball. And we'll be back with the overtime kickoff. Final second, fourth quarter, Barr attempting the 40-yard field goal, which would have won it for the Raiders, but not able to hit.
It's interesting watching that last replay. Dennis Smith over there on the same side that he blocked the field goal last week in overtime that Louis Wright picked up, trying to do it again. The Raiders said, I'll have none of this, blocking him out. Good protection for the field goal attempt, just a little bit wide to the right for Chris Barr and the Raiders.
Barr is now 2 for 10 this season from 38 yards and longer.
It's interesting, Marv, to note when they flipped the coin that Rod Martin says, yeah, we want the ball. And I was wondering if the Broncos that were out there with him, he says, good, you take the ball. We've won 2 games losing the toss in overtime.
Well, last week only the 4th overtime game in NFL history in which the winning team won without the offense touching the ball at all. Rich Carlos teeing it up. Sam Seal and Fulton Walker are back. Broncos and Raiders tied at 28.
Well, it becomes a game of field position, and the Broncos kicking the ball down to where they can, if they can pin them back, they can get a field goal down there with a turnover.
And a strong kickoff. Fulton Walker will stay right there. They'll bring it out on the touchback to the 20. We are just underway in overtime for the Broncos, their 3rd overtime game of the season.
And you're seeing more pressure right here because the pressure is on the offense, especially when you're in your own end of the field, because if one mistake is probably going to mean the end of the ball game. A turnover, a fumble, an interception. Your offense almost has to be perfect in this end of the field.
And Dokie Williams, who went down at the end of regulation and headed to the sidelines, is all right. He is on the field right now. Mark Wilson, who is 14 for 33, 196 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Giving to Marcus Allen. And Allen has the first down. Martin and Smith on the stop. You would think that he might tire by this point, but he looked fresh.
Great runners seem to get better the more they carry the football. They need a break every now and then, but when you're in overtime and you're in your own near your own end zone, give it to your best man. A good move to set up the block there. The little dip helped to set up Dokie Williams' block, but a good tackle by Mike Harden.
167 yards rushing for Allen. 216 total yards. First down for the 34. And this time Allen pushed back. Tom Jackson leading the Denver defensive surge.
1-yard gain. Second down, 9 yards to go.
Tells you a little bit about Marcus Allen.
2nd and 9. Completion. Dokie Williams pulling away. And a flag down. Steve Busick, number 58, quickly brought him down and may have been a face mask. So they'll tack on some yards, 42 yards plus the penalty.
Right here, the receiver is going to come down and break to the outside. The defensive back is going to miss the tackle, and then Busick will have to come all the way from his linebacking position down and breaks to the outside. That's Harden, 31, missing the tackle. 3 other Broncos knock each other off. And now Busick tries to knock the ball loose, pulls his face mask, and now the Broncos are in tough territory.
Third catch of the day for Dokie Williams.
If you're looking for a turnover from the Denver Broncos, last year they were one of the top teams in the league. This year, 22nd out of the 28 teams in creating a turnover by the defense.
First down at the Denver 18. And it's Frank Hawkins getting the call. A rare call.
I'm sure all they're concerned about now is not fumbling the ball and leaving it to that man right there, Chris Barr. But when you just missed one, that has got to be on your mind.
Only the third time that Hawkins has carried. Picked up 2. It'll be a second down and 8. Chris Barr, who missed from 40 at the end of regulation, thinking about it now. Tied at 28, 2 minutes in overtime. And Allen inside the 15. Reuben Carter, the nose tackle on the stop. And here is Barr coming on third down. They don't want to handle the ball anymore.
Well, I like this, Marv. If you have a missed snap on third down and the holder mishandles it, he can just fall on it, and you can try it again on fourth down. It's a good call by Tom Flores.
And Barr has not missed a field goal inside of 38 yards this season. This will be from 32 yards away.
This time, Dan Reeves gets his timeout called in time. Last week they blocked it, but the timeout came in a little bit late, but they went back and blocked it again, just to make Chris Barr think about it a little bit longer.
And a timeout will break for these messages.
Get that artsy guy with
10 minutes in to overtime. Third down situation, and Chris Barr looking to end it from 32 yards away. Here it is. It is all over. A sweet feeling for Barr, who missed at the end of regulation from 40. The Raiders have won it over the Broncos in overtime.
Of the Raiders and the Broncos, and they have the Broncos and the Raiders on their schedule coming up. Meanwhile,
It's the Volkswagen by Seiko and your authorized Seiko dealer. Man invented time. Seiko perfected it. And by Ice Blue Aqua Velva, because there's something about an Ice Blue Aqua Velva man. Hi again, everybody. I'm Bob Costas. Welcome to the pregame show. Ahmad Rashad is here, but sadly, Pete Axthelm's seat is unoccupied. Pete is a little bit under the weather today, and the shockwaves are already being felt in Las Vegas. Now, coming up a half hour from now, you'll see one of these two games on NBC. The big one involves the Broncos and the Raiders from the Coliseum in L.A. Rain is expected there. Denver leads the Raiders by a game in the AFC West, and they will play 2 weeks hence at Mile High Stadium in Denver. Now, of course, Lyle Alzado, with the Achilles tendon injury, is out for the season for the Raiders. Sammy Winder will not play today for the Broncos. Gerald Wilhite will open up at running back. And you may have heard that earlier in the week, with Winder hurt, the Broncos tried to sneak Rick Parros through waivers, but Seattle claimed him, so now he's wearing a Seahawks uniform. Indianapolis at Kansas City is our other game at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. Both these teams are 3-8. Matt Koeffler will start at quarterback for the Colts, not because Mike Pagel has performed that badly, but simply because Coach Rod Dowhauer feels he has to shake things up. On the other side, Bill Kenny is injured for Kansas City, and the starting quarterback for the Chiefs will be Todd Blackledge as they try and snap a 7-game losing streak. As you know, Redskins quarterback Joe Theismann underwent surgery twice this week to repair the damage to his right leg after that frightening injury last Monday night. Yesterday, at Arlington Hospital, he shared these thoughts with our Bill McAtee.
The moment that I was the most scared was when I was lying on the field, and I didn't want anybody to touch my leg. I just wanted to try and gain some type of composure to myself, because the pain was excruciating. And all of a sudden, the adrenaline and anything else in the body, any body chemistries that do take over in a moment like that sort of took over. And I was still tense, and I was trying to hold my leg up, and I just said to Charlie, "Don't touch my leg. I know it's broken. Don't touch it. Don't do anything." And I just asked him, I said, did it come through the skin? I did not want to have the bone, because, you know, you just see things like the bone coming out of somebody. I did not want that to happen.
Have you been able to watch the tape?
Once. I didn't, you know, I'm a very lucky man in so much that I've got somebody that cares about me more than probably herself, and that's Kathy Lee Crosby. She wouldn't let me watch it. She said, "You don't want to see it." I said, "No, I want to see it." So Thursday night, she said, "Oh, you want to see it? Go ahead." So I put it on, and I saw it, and as soon as I saw it, I turned the set off just like that. I said, "I don't want to see it anymore."
Frightening.
Yes, it's scary. I happen to think that severity of that instantaneous moment right there of what can actually happen in an arena, in a game, I think it sort of it shocked me when I saw it again, and I've had people come up and say they really, it set them back. It almost made them sick because it was such an, you know, the body just isn't made to go that way. You know, they don't put joints that go that way down there, and that was all I needed to say. I don't want to see it anymore. I don't even see pictures of it.
Bill McAtee's entire interview with Joe Theismann will air at halftime on NFL 85. Now, quickly, through scores of other games, and perhaps the biggest game of the day, first place is at stake in the AFC East. Both the Patriots and Jets are 8-3. The Patriots have won 6 in a row, but they are playing now without Steve Grogan, the man who has directed them through that winning streak. He sprained a knee in the first half. Tony Eason has replaced him. The Jets led 6-3 at halftime. In the third quarter, the Patriots were driving for what looked like it would be the go-ahead touchdown, but Irving Fryer fumbled at the 2. The Jets recovered, and almost immediately thereafter, this play occurred. Ken O'Brien, the top-rated quarterback in the NFL, will find Wesley Walker wide open, and it looks like the veteran hasn't lost much, if any, of that 9.3 speed. He covers 88 yards on this one, a terrific turnaround in the space of a couple of plays, and the Jets have the lead at the Meadowlands, 13-3, and Joe Walton and his staff are celebrating. Miami is in front of Buffalo at Buffalo, 17-14. Dan Marino has thrown 2 touchdown passes for the Dolphins. Chicago on their way to a record of 12-0, leading in the 4th at Soldier Field. They just added a safety. 29-0 is the score. Walter Payton is over 100 yards for the 7th consecutive week, tying the NFL record. He now shares it with O.J. Simpson and Earl Campbell. One of his runs, 40 yards for a touchdown, and yes, Refrigerator Perry has scored again from about 1.5 yards out. He went airborne. He dove over a couple of Falcon defenders. They're loving it at Soldier Field, leading 29-0. Washington and Pittsburgh at one point. Pittsburgh trailed 14-3. They came back to tie it. Now the Redskins have opened it up again, 27-17 with Jay Schrader at quarterback. The Browns have lost 4 in a row to Cincinnati, but they are leading at home in this one, 24-6. Turk Schonert in at quarterback for the Bengals. A hip pointer sustained by Boomer Esiason. He's left for the rest of the game. Gary Danielson opened for the ineffective Bernie Kosar at quarterback for the Browns and threw a 72-yard touchdown pass to Clarence Weathers. Houston, after blowing a 17-0 lead, has just gone back in front of San Diego in the 4th quarter on a Mike Rozier scoring run. 27-21 is the score in that ball game. The Lions are playing at Tampa Bay. Detroit is just 1-5 on the road this year, but the Bucks are 1-10 overall, and Detroit leads at 16-6. Steve Young making his first ever NFL start at quarterback for the Buccaneers. And the Saints and the Vikings playing in the 4th now at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. The Saints lead that one 23-16. Remarkably, Earl Campbell scored his first ever New Orleans touchdown early. And defensive lineman Mike Bell, along with his brother Mark, a former professional football player, and some 30 others were arrested on federal narcotics charges. Mike Bell is charged with using a telephone to obtain narcotics. That is a felony. And with attempting to possess narcotics, that is a misdemeanor. You will see him in action here. He could conceivably get up to 4 years for the felony charges and a $30,000 fine, plus a year and a $5,000 fine on the misdemeanor charge. A preliminary hearing will be held this coming Wednesday, and owner Lamar Hunt of the Chiefs has granted Bell a paid leave of absence in order to iron things out. Standing by with us now is Duron Cherry, the Chiefs defensive back, one of the league's best, at Arrowhead Stadium, where the Chiefs will play host to the Indianapolis Colts today. Duron, your reaction to these developments this week?
Well, Bob, you know, it was a tough thing to really think about because Mike is such an integral part of this football team and is a type of guy that we never really expected this to happen. But the team is 100% behind Mike and what he wants to try to accomplish out of this whole deal. So we're just really concerned about Mike and his family, and I think as a whole the players, you know, were very shocked, but you know, we're more concerned about him right now, and we're just behind him 100%.
Quickly, Duron, people say in a situation like this, how could his teammates not know? They'd have to know.
Well, you know, this was a situation that happened way back in May, so really we weren't really a part of him. It wasn't happening during the season this year. So we feel as though that we had no idea, no inclination that this type of thing would happen, and, you know, we're just sorry that it did happen. Like I said, you know, we're behind him 100% in this.
Even though it's very unfair, it's inevitable that speculation in something like this spreads beyond Bell to his teammates, especially when a team is having a bad year, as the Chiefs are. Does that affect you, and do you find that football players and maybe athletes in general are leaning more and more towards some kind of drug testing situation in order to clear the air over the innocent?
Well, you know, I feel like in this situation, this was a situation, an isolated incident that happened in Wichita. It didn't happen here in Kansas City. And as far as a drug problem on this football team, I don't feel as though there's a drug problem on this team at all. We've lost 7 in a row, and a lot of people speculate that that's the reason why this team has lost 7 in a row. But that's not the case. We just haven't played well. We have a lot of injuries to a lot of key personnel. And like I said, it happened way before the season even started, and if we were 8-3 right now, nobody would even speculate that. So at this point, I don't think that our team is concerned about that problem, and we're just ready and more concerned about playing football.
One more item very quickly, Duran. There has been speculation about John Makovic's future, that he might be fired before the year is over, and your team has lost 7 in a row, talk of dissension. What's the situation on your club right now?
Right now, our team is 100% behind Coach Makovic. He has received a lot of criticism, but in the same token, the players have to accept their responsibility for not playing well as well. So we're 100% behind what he's trying to do here.
Duran, thanks very much. Good luck today against the Colts.
Thank you, Bob.
All right, fellas, let's change it and bring on Mr. Larry King from Washington, D.C. Take it away with your items, Lawrence.
Good switch.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Clear your throat there, Larry. This is a big number here. We want you to go through it smoothly.
I got on a little late. Normally, my throat gets unclear 3 minutes after this. We've learned from a high source inside the organization that the St. Louis Cardinals will offer the head football coaching job to Mouse Davis when this season is over. Davis, creator of the run-and-shoot offense. He coached Neil Lomax, the Cardinal quarterback in college, coached Jim Kelly in the USFL. We learned he was offered the offensive coordinator's job before the season and turned it down. Personally, I like Jim Hannafin, but the name of the game in football is winning. Atlanta's Dan Henning, who's also on the way out, said earlier this week, every coach in the league is in the last year of his contract. Some guys just don't know it. Jim Kelly, by the way, is telling his friends that he'll be a Buffalo Bill in 1987. Interesting stat, Robert. The NFL's 6 dome teams that play in dome stadiums, have a combined 19-13 record at home, 8-26 on the road. Opinion department. Who's the best tight end in the National Football League? In my humble opinion, it's Jimmy Giles of Tampa Bay, but like the aforementioned Alex English of the NBA, no ink. Pass interference calls down 30% this year in the National Football League. O.J. Simpson told me in a television interview for CNN, it's going to be shown in December, that if he were Bo Jackson of Auburn, with the opportunity to play baseball or football, equally good in both, he would choose baseball. Longer career, higher pay. And by the way, only 29,000 showed up in Atlanta last week for the Ram game, 14,000 no-shows. And next week, Bob, I'm going to be in New York, and it's there that I will present you with the follow-up to what's next after the refrigerator. Bob, that's the way I hear it.
The sports world holds its collective breath for that item. Back to your number 1 story today. Bill Bidwell, the Cardinal owner, is known to be a conservative guy. He likes to play it close to the vest. Mouse Davis is very flamboyant, not only in his coaching strategies, but in his personality. Will those two be compatible?
I think it's a question of, much as other owners have had to decide in the past, Bob, that winning counts. Mouse Davis is, 1, going to make a much more exciting team in St. Louis if he takes the job, and I do not know that he'll take it. 2, he puts people in the house. 3, generally, his career-wise, they win. And winning counts more than anything else, and I think Bidwell, while I agree with you on the conservative aspect, is going to opt for the colorful Davis.
All right, Larry, thanks very much. And Ahmad Rashad wants to say that when he's 100%, Kellen Winslow is still the number 1 tight end in the National Football Leagues. Jimmy Giles and anybody else, forget about it. He says Kellen Winslow. We'll come back with Ahmad's feature on Andre Tippett, one of the great linebackers in the NFL, an overlooked star with the New England Patriots, a guy who relies on martial arts to get him ready for battle on the gridiron. That's next on NFL, the subject of your profile coming up. In the 20-13 New England win at Foxborough earlier this season over New York, Tippett recorded 3 sacks.
That's right, Bob. I mean, if they expect to win this game, they got to control Tippett. But now, when I think of Andre Tippett, the first thing that comes to mind is intimidation. Now, in the National Football League, there's all kinds of intimidation. You think about Butkus, his intimidation was because he was so physical. But I think of a guy that used to play for Houston, a big, old, ugly guy that played for Houston. He was so ugly, he had a big old nose, man, and he wore a little helmet. And if you got up close to him, you could almost see parts of his brain. His nose was so big. But what he'd do is, as you're running the ball, you kind of peek back over at him, and he would scare the hell out of you. And as you'd freeze,
yeah, say it twice.
as you would freeze, some guy would nail you. And I know they practiced this because they did it every single week.
No, wait a minute. In the interest of journalism,
we're not
who was
say
this big old ugly dude?
Let's get back to Andre Tippett. Now, Tippett, everybody in the league knows Tippett has a black belt in karate. And football being the emotional game that it is, when you play against Tippett, you make sure you keep your emotions in check. Because what could be worse to have your wife, your family, your friends up in the stands and have Andre Tippett down on the field putting some major jiu-jitsu on you? I mean, that would be the ultimate. So he gets a lot of notoriety for his martial arts. But the fact of the matter is, he's one of the best linebackers in the business.
Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's just Andre Tippett, the most feared linebacker in the AFC. But like Superman, he also has a Clark Kent side.
Yeah, it's something I laugh when I think about it. You know, it's like, here I am, you know, off the field, you know, easy, nice going, like to have a good time. But, you know, come Sunday, it's like, you know, you Jekyll and Mr. Hyde out there. Andre goes in there and he ignites us all with one of his ferocious sacks. He goes in and he just tears people's heads off. I think he's the most dominant football player in the NFL right now.
In order to be a dominating player, you must have discipline. And Andre Tippett feels his discipline comes from his dedication to the martial arts.
Karate's not new to you. This has always been a part of your conditioning. How has it helped you in football?
You know, I look at it as now a way of life with me because I've put so much time in it. You know, you're looking at 12, 13 years. That's a long time to be dedicated to one particular thing. Yeah, I love it, first of all. You know, that was my first organized sport that I could say I was in. And I think because of the time that I put in it, you know, it's paid off, you know, with my football ability, you know, as far as the discipline, the flexibility that I've gained from it, the hand-eye coordination. You know, a lot of big guys are not able to put their right foot in front of them and, you know, put their left hand over here somewhere without falling down. But I think because of the training that I had, you know, it's been tremendous.
There have been many assessments of Andre Tippett, but his self-description may be the best.
I would describe myself as a player. Yeah, he's the kind of guy that if you don't give him any attention, you know, he can cause a lot of havoc to your team. He's always trying to make something happen. You know, basically, he's the kind of guy that, you know, if you take him lightly, he can come back and bite you.
When you're looking for a linebacker, you want a guy that can play on first down and do a good job against the run, and then also drop into zones. And then on a long yardage situation, you want a linebacker that can cover or else rush the quarterback. And Tippett can do all of these things. He's in there on every down. He's just an outstanding ball player, and he's the prototype.
He may be the prototype, but like all great players, he does have his weaknesses, and his coach knows of at least one.
He's not a very good pass receiver as far as running routes as a wide receiver. That's about the only thing I know.
I'll tell you one thing. If they ever film the Raymond Berry story, the only guy for the title role is Jackie Cooper.
You know, one thing I talked to Raymond Berry, and he said that he also gives Andre Tippett great coaching. I said, how do you do that? He said, every Sunday I walk over to his locker and I go, have a good game, Andre.
With the great ones, I guess that's the best thing to do.
That's right. You know, he was, Andre Tippett was second in sacks last year, and he did this as a down lineman. And the expert in that area of down lineman and a personal friend of mine is Merlin Olsen, who's standing by out at the Meadowlands. Merlin.
Hello, Ahmad. How are you?
I'm doing fine. When you talk about Andre Tippett playing as a down lineman at 240 pounds, he has to go up against guys that are 280 pounds. That sounds like a mismatch.
Well, Ahmad, one of the things we talk about Andre like we do about basketball players. Some basketball players play big. Tippett plays big. In fact, he attacks those offensive tackles better than a lot of defensive linemen. Part of it, I think, is his training, but part of it is his attitude. He is not afraid of the size differential. He goes right at them.
Well, Merlin, you know, if he's such a good athlete, why don't they move him around in the defense like they do with Mark Gastineau?
Well, they have actually done that. In fact, against Tampa Bay, he moved from the left side to the right side. That's something we could see today.
You talk about great linebackers. You think about Lawrence Taylor, Mike Singletary. Where does Tippett rate among these?
I think he ranks right up there. It's just a matter of time until he'll get that kind of recognition, Ahmad. We're going to keep an eye on him today. You'll see some of the reasons that I think he's a great linebacker in this game today.
All right, thanks, Merlin.
Merlin, one last quick question. Any late note on Freeman McNeil? Will he start?
We only know that he is going to play some. We don't know how much, and we were not told if he's going to start or not. So it's still kind of a mystery here.
Merlin, thanks very much. We look forward to the broadcast in a few minutes from the Meadowlands as the Jets go against the Patriots. We'll be back to Vealing interview with the Redskins' Joe Theismann, and we'll be back with all the scores and highlights. For Ahmad Rashad and the ailing Pete Axthelm, I'm Bob